What's going on, guys? Welcome back to #AskGSM here today for Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to episode 661 here today. Hope you guys are doing well and enjoying your week. Let's get the housekeeping stuff out of the way early, as we always do, by shouting out those that make this show possible, that have supported the channel and the channel members: Alexis, Miss Mon Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel Malcolm at I'm Quarter on X, who I did see there in the chat. Daniel, what's going on, brother? DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 from IG, Mr. Marceau at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube, Richie Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube, and Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. More information on how to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member down below in the description box. If you want to support the channel, you can also simply by doing so by liking this video, subscribing, and turning on notifications to be notified every time new content goes up here on the channel. Also, if you want to send in a question to this very show, you could do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook.com, Facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. Last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. After it's done processing, we'll include your question in next week's edition. If you are watching live, though, drop your question in the chat. If you are a subscriber, I think you have to be subscribed for a certain period of time, I believe. Then after you do that, I'll get to your question and comment a little bit later on here in the video. And that's really about it. So we got a busy week ahead. There's still so much I have to catch up on content-wise, covering-wise. There's stuff that aired months ago I still have yet to watch and review. But like the recent Dark Side of the Rings, the first episode of the most recent season I have seen, the extended episode, episodes 1 and 2 on TNA, I did see that. Have not reviewed it here on the channel yet. But I did see that, took notes for it. I have not watched the remainder of the TNA episode, part 3. I have not seen the Necro Butcher Samoa Joe match episode from last week. Obviously, tonight's is airing. So I haven't seen any of those, except for the first 2. I haven't reviewed any of them yet. I have also seen none of WWE Unreal. All of this will be covered at some point. I have just been so astronomically behind now for months. It's just been, just to put it lightly, very busy and very chaotic. So I will get to everything eventually. I apologize for that. Written review-wise, WrestleRant.com, still so much I still have to catch up on. Reviews are going in. Some days I can get a bunch done. Some days I'm out all day and I can't do any. So it kind of depends on the day. But we are trying to update the content up on WrestleRant.com as quickly as possible, including last night's Raw. SummerSlam coming up this weekend, of course. Hope to have that review up soon after the show, but no promises on that. Redemption. I haven't even finished watching Redemption yet because I was out doing family stuff on Sunday. Some personal matters came up. So I have not yet finished the pay-per-view from Sunday. Obviously, have not yet reviewed it yet. Can't really... I mean, I've seen most of the show. I haven't finished Willow versus Tekla, and I haven't seen the main event. I think those are the only 2 matches I've not seen in full yet. The rest of the show I have seen. So if you have questions about Redemption, I could probably talk about those briefly as well. And then that brings me to SummerSlam. So I will be at SummerSlam this weekend. My schedule works a little bit differently than usual in that I'll be flying in on Friday. Typically, I fly in on Thursdays. They have like the media junket for interviews and stuff on Friday, and then the pay-per-views on Saturday and Sunday. It works differently this time. My travel schedule is such where I was not going to be there for the media junket on Friday until I found out they're actually doing it on Saturday and Sunday before the pay-per-view instead. So I should still be able to attend that, get some content. Not sure if I'll be able to put it up this weekend while I'm at the show or soon after. Again, it's been very chaotic. I apologize for that. But I will be at the press junket most likely this weekend. I'll be flying in on Friday to Minneapolis, my first time there. I'll be at both nights of SummerSlam. That is confirmed. I'll be flying back on Monday. So none of the shows, amazingly, I don't think will be affected. WrestleRant Radio this Thursday, time still TBD. Got to ask Mr. Marceau about that. And we will figure that out, but we should be live, or, should be live per usual tomorrow. It will very likely be early Thursday morning doing SummerSlam predictions, talking about that awful Raw from last night. I'll probably give some thoughts on Redemption as well. But yeah, so we'll talk WrestleRant Radio on Thursday with Mr. Marceau, probably early Thursday morning, as I mentioned. Friday, business as usual. I'll be flying in, pay-per-view Saturday, Sunday, leaving Monday, and the next week's hashtag AskGSM, episode 662. Should be live per usual. I mean, depending on the time. Sometimes we're live at 11:30, sometimes we're live at fucking 2:30, 5, it doesn't matter. That could change, but I think we should still be live next Tuesday regardless. I don't think that'll change, but I'm not 100% on that, so just keep an eye out. Like I said, if you are subscribed and have notifications on, you'll be notified when we do go live for any of these live streams. So that's really about it. We will bring up the chat here, see who's here, see what you guys are saying. Boom. All right, got a decent amount of chats here. Hope you guys are doing well. Daniel answered the question. He said also but he also said Colt Cabana, JK. For CM Punk's final opponent, that would certainly be interesting. If they were on better terms, and if Colt Cabana was actively wrestling, and if Punk was still in AEW, I could see that being a possibility, but obviously that'll never happen. Eric said, congratulations to Raquel. Yes, Raquel did win the Women's Intercontinental Championship last night. I like Raquel. I'm glad she got that moment, but I just didn't really feel like they put the belt on her at the right time. I feel like it would have made more sense to make her champion like a year ago, or I don't know. I just kind of feel like this is a weird time to be strapping her up. She had more momentum at the beginning of the year. Like, she could have been the one to take the belt off of Maxine Dupree as opposed to putting the belt right back on Becky. And I don't really think Becky and AJ needed the championship at WrestleMania. They got the championship defended at WrestleMania, which was great. It was a good match. But Raquel could have won the championship then when she had more momentum coming off the feud with Stephanie Vaquer and more people were behind her. She just kind of feels ice cold right now. The match last night was fine, but she feels ice cold. I would have rather seen that championship go to Roxanne Perez. And I'm not sure it's quite the case of, well, they're saving Roxanne to turn on Liv, and she'll be the one to take the championship from Liv. I think fucking Io Sky's taking that title from Liv coming up at SummerSlam this weekend, not Roxanne Perez. Roxanne might still win Money in the Bank, but I'm not even confident on that either. They've heated up Roxanne, they've cooled off Roxanne. It's very confusing. But congrats to Raquel nonetheless. Nathaniel, what's going on, brother? He said, hi, Graham. Did you enjoy the singing at the Danhausen concert on Raw yesterday? No, I thought it was terrible. And that is coming from someone who loves Danhausen, who loves Joe Hendry. I thought that segment was garbage. I thought it was fucking awful. Usually I do enjoy the Joe Hendry concerts. They're kind of hit or miss, but, I enjoy them. The Danhausen stuff is better in smaller doses. They have far overexposed him lately. And I don't know what the fuck that segment was. The involvement from that guy, Ryan Garcia, who was apparently a piece of shit boxer. He was in the ring. I mean, no thanks. That whole thing was absolute garbage. Eric also said that he's seeing Doomsday on Friday. Well, you must be getting an early cut, because I think you mean Spider-Man. Doomsday comes out in December, my friend, unless there's an early screening of it 5 months early, and I just was not aware of it. But I will very likely be seeing Spider-Man. That's also, I think I've said this before as well, that one of the drawbacks of going to SummerSlam was that I would not be able to see Spider-Man until I got back. I would be too busy to see it while I was there. I'd be by myself anyway. I would like to see with Alexis. And I'm actually not leaving now until Friday night. So we can either see it tomorrow, not tomorrow, but after we record on Thursday, after we record WrestleRant Radio, or I might see it Friday morning. More than likely on Thursday seems to be the plan. And then Alexis is like in a show this weekend too. So we have a lot going on. But yeah, that seems to be the plan, is seeing it sometime before I leave, which would be amazing. So I can not have to work as hard to avoid spoilers while I'm gone. I can actually go to SummerSlam and not have to avoid spoilers on social media and people talking about it at the shows and whatnot. That would be wonderful. Nathaniel said, also, I hope Judgment Day versus Danhausen feud is over after SummerSlam. I was hoping it would be over at fucking Saturday Night's Main Event. There was no reason to continue that feud past that point, but here we are. Nathaniel also thought Raw was terrible yesterday. Yeah, I did not like the show at all. I mean, it had some good matches on it. I thought Rusev and Javon Evans was good. I thought Ethan Page and Rey Mysterio was enjoyable. The right outcome in both matches. But those matches had nothing to do with SummerSlam, and we've also seen them before as well. We've seen both matches. They really had nothing to do with the pay-per-view whatsoever. The concert was awful. The Brock and Oba stuff was fine. The closing segment was fine. It really was not a great show at all. It was a very half-assed effort going into a card that actually has potential on paper. But, the actual build for the show has been very hit or miss. For the mid-card matches, it's been awful. For the main events, it's been pretty good. I am looking forward to the show this weekend, though. Nathaniel seen Spider-Man on Friday also as well. Enjoy. He said, did you enjoy AEW Redemption? What was your favorite match? Like I said, I have not seen the entire show yet. I was finishing it up this morning while I was doing work, so I still have to finish it. I have not yet watched the main event or the rest of Tekla and Willow. So far, I mean, my top takeaway is that these shows are still too fucking long. I'm glad they started an hour earlier. I did not watch the show live on Sunday whatsoever. I have not watched an AW show live, and I think I watched Revolution live, or at least most of it. I'm not sure if I have watched an AEW pay-per-view in full live since I was there for Full Gear, and that was in November. I don't think World's End I watched live. I don't think, if I recall correctly. Revolution, I did watch most of it, but then I had to turn it off to go do work. Dynasty, I don't think I watched live. I feel like I didn't watch that show live. I think I had something going on that day. I don't remember. I don't remember if I watched that live or not. And then what else? Double or Nothing I watched most of. Didn't watch the whole thing live. I did not watch Forbidden Door live, and I did not watch the show from this past weekend live. So it's just a timing thing. There's just a lot going on right now. But I did enjoy the overall show from what I've seen from Redemption so far. My favorite match? Let me look real quick to see what was even on the card that I would have enjoyed more than the other matches. I'm looking at my review real quick and what I wrote down. The opening ladder match was fun. Bucks and Death Riders was really good, albeit a bit long. I don't know. Really, none of these matches stood out as being my favorite. I thought Andrade and Mark Davis was really good. I don't really have a favorite match among the ones I've seen so far. Maybe the Bucks and Death Riders or Fletcher and Bandito, because both of those matches were great. Honestly, probably Fletcher and Bandito is my favorite match of the show from what I've seen so far. Let's see. Nathaniel also said, I hope EO beats Liv at SummerSlam, but we'll see. And also, Liv has been champion for 200 days. That is incredible, by the way. That Liv has been champion for 200 days and is not defended on television anyway, that championship a single fucking time. That is insane. Just absolute insanity. I don't think it's been 200 days. I think you mean 100 days. She won the championship in April. 200 days would have been like half of the year. She's only been champion for 3 months. I say only 3 months, but that's closer to 100 days, not 200. Nathaniel said, the only WWE concert I think is good were the Rock's concerts. I enjoyed Joe Hendry's, some of them. Again, some of them are kind of like whatever. But the other ones I don't really enjoy that much. The Rock's were the best. I think Rock's heel ones, I mean, especially from when he was a heel doing Hollywood Rock, and when he was a babyface doing them like 10 years ago, they weren't really all that entertaining. But the more recent ones that he was doing, at least one of them, about 2 years ago on the road to WrestleMania, was phenomenal. That was great too. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, the Rock's concerts, no one does it better than him. And that includes Elias, by the way. That goes without saying. Eric said, what special perks do I get for being a member? You get some of the videos early. You get a little badge next to your name here in the chat. Look at Daniel. Daniel's got the WrestleRant badge next to his name here in the chat. If you would like a question or comment or topic discussed first before anything else on these streams, if you have a question for me here on the streams that you send in ahead of time, or for WrestleRant Radio, if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, we will talk about that first. You get first dibs on that sort of stuff. The occasional, live streams from members as well. Just a lot of different content. And you also get some content free or early, but you also get it ad-free as well. So that's when I kind of get back to doing the reviews. WrestleRant Radio excerpts are kind of the only other thing we're doing here on the channel right now. I took a break from doing WrestleRant ranks. We just don't have the time at the moment. The Dark Side of the Ring reviews will be back. I will review Unreal at some point. We got a book review coming up at some point that I recorded last week for Natty's book. That will be up eventually. If you are a channel member, you get that stuff early. You get it first before anyone else. And you also get exclusive access to gifts and stuff in the chats here on the live streams. So, consider doing it. Always appreciate it, but even if you're not a channel member, you just watch the videos and you like the videos and you subscribe, really, that's all there is. But if you want to put in that extra effort as well, that's always appreciated regardless. You also, as I say on the video every single time we're live, you also get shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do. Nathaniel said, I'm happy for Raquel winning the IC Championship. Does she lose it to Liv after Liv loses it to EO? I mean, maybe. I hope not. I really fucking hope not. Richie, welcome to All Access Pass. Richie, what's going on, brother? Thank you so much for that, Richie. I love you, brother. Thank you so much. Talk about members. Eric was talking about that before. Richie gets first dibs on that because he is an All Access Pass channel member. So thank you, Richie. It was actually Richie's birthday about 3 days ago. I mentioned that here on the show, I think last week. I may not have mentioned it on WrestleRant Radio last week. But yes, it was Richie's birthday last Saturday, so a very happy birthday to him. And I hope you guys wish him a happy birthday as well. So anyway, let me go back a little bit here before I continue on here with the chat. But yeah, so Liv and Raquel, I could see them doing that at some point. I think we got another member as well. Bill, I appreciate you. I'll get to you in a second. Thank you so much, Bill. I see it. I know that because I could see it here in the chat. From the top of the chat, it says you became a member. Bill, thank you so much, brother. I love you. Means a lot. I will get to that in a moment. But yes, Liv and Raquel for the IC Championship. I could see it. I have no desire to see that right now. Why would we keep Roxanne out of the conversation? Is Roxanne just going to be there without really benefiting from this at all? She should be holding that women's IC championship. She should be holding the fucking women's world championship. Do more with Raquel, please. Let me shout out Bill real quick. I just mentioned it, but let me go down real quick. Bill, thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Richie showing off some of those exclusive gifts if you are a channel member. Daniel showing off the Rusev Day gifts. Richie was showing off the Veer gifts and the Love Ziggler gift. I got to switch up some of those gifts. They're not gifts, actually. They're just kind of little emoticons you could put in the chat. You can't actually have like working gifts for some reason. You can't have working gifts here in the chat. You can only have like emoticons for some reason. I don't know why. It's very weird. I've tried to have, those are actual like gifts. Like the Rusev Day one, it goes like this. For some reason, they only include a picture. I got to go through and include some other ones as well. I got to update those. We've had those emoticons since we first started doing the All Access Pass last year. So, I did not mean to say do more with Raquel, Emmanuel. I meant to say do more with Roxanne. Please do more with Roxanne. I like Raquel. Do more with Roxanne, though. But anyway, Richie, thank you. Bill, appreciate you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I see some questions for Dan in the chat from Kadeem. I'll get to all of that momentarily. I just had to shout out the channel members first because you guys get first dibs. It's part of the deal. Part of the deal. Thank you guys so much. Again, that means a lot. Let me backtrack a little bit here. A lot of comments coming in. Daniel said, well, your pending Brock Legacy Championship be coming in the mail before you leave for SummerSlam. You're goddamn right it will be, Dan. You're goddamn right it will be. It'll be coming in, I think, Thursday. I paid for priority shipping, so that only cost me an extra, like, $5,000, you know? Get the Brock title. Imagine if I fucking pulled up to one of these streams with that ugly-ass Brock Championship. The NWO title, by the way, equally egregiously ugly. I think Daniel had sent that to me over text a few weeks ago. And I love the NWO, but that belt looked ugly as fuck. I think it was Hogan's face. It was atrocious. The Brock title is pretty bad. It's given that Bray Wyatt Fiend belt a run for its money. And that shit was like $6,000. But people bought it. People did buy it before they put it on sale for like $500, which was really funny because they realized no one was buying it. So they put it on sale for like $500, $600, $700, $800. And then it's like, imagine being one of those people that initially bought it when it came out thinking it would be this massive deal, that it would be a rare item. It might be now, especially now that he's gone. Bray Wyatt, that is. But paying $6,000 fucking dollars. I mean, that is, I mean, I feel bad even buying a fucking shirt at these shows. I used to buy a shirt at every show I would go to. That was my tradition for like the longest time. At like the WWE shows and stuff like that. I stopped doing that like 10 years ago. I'm like, this is a waste of money. Some of these shirts are great. Some of these shirts end up like the Enzo and Cass shirt, which I guess is relevant now because they're back, or at least Cass is. I don't know what's going on with Enzo. And I'm like, I don't really care about Enzo anymore. Why did I buy this shirt? You know what I mean? There's a lot of shirts I bought. I'm like, why do I have this? It's because I bought it at a show, wasted $40 on it, and it kind of feels like a waste. I kind of have to heavily like decide now, all right, I mean, it's also part of getting older. I'm like, do I really need this? Do I really need to be buying this? You know what I mean? Meanwhile, people are spending $6,000 on a fucking title that's ugly as shit. But I mean, hey, do you? Eric said, I would like to hang out with you while we're here, while we're there. Are you going to SummerSlam, Eric? Let me know if you're going to SummerSlam, what nights you're going to. I will be very busy all weekend, so I won't really have a chance to do much, honestly, outside of going to the shows. If you're going to SummerSlam, we can maybe work something out where I could see you before I have to go into the building. I know on both mornings I'm doing the media stuff, like I said. I got to wake up early both mornings to go do that. And then after that's over, I might have some time, but I'll probably be at like, not WWE World, whatever the fuck it is. It's like the convention center. They're doing the autographs there. I'm getting the belt signed while I'm there. So if you're at that thing, let me know and we can meet up. Eric wants a Liv Dom mixed tag. What? Liv Dom mixed tag titles? What are you asking for specifically, Eric? Do you think we would have seen an AJ Lee in AEW had Punk stuck around? I do. I mean, I think we were all wondering why she didn't come in immediately with her or with him when he came to AEW. But at the same time, he came back to WWE in 2023. It took her a whole 2 years to come in after he already returned. It took a long time. I know WWE was her home. I don't think she would have ever returned had it not been for Punk. If Punk never went back, I don't think AJ would have gone back. If Punk was still in AEW, I don't think AJ Lee would have gone to WWE. I do think eventually we probably would have seen her in AEW, and I think that would have been fine. But AJ, she's very good. She's not about work rate, especially at this point in her career. She would have stuck out like a sore thumb, like Paige did. Like the Paige return in AEW was cool. It meant honestly more her going back to WWE. Like if you were wondering in your head, what would an AJ Lee run had looked like in AEW? It would have been the Paige run. She may have won the championship or the TBS title. I don't even know if she would have worked that many matches. Paige was basically a regular after a while. Yeah, and Paige didn't really have the strongest run. She was hot for like a month, and then they kind of cooled her off, and the social outcast thing happened, and that kind of sucked. So, yeah, I'm glad she went back to WWE instead of AEW. I just don't think it would have sat well. And you get the music, too. Like, Paige's AEW theme by her ex-boyfriend was great, the Zombified or whatever. But her Paige music in WWE is just awesome. As is Let's Light It Up in WWE. Good question, though, Daniel. Eric said, wait, what is the Spider-Man movie called? Brand New Day, Eric. Not Doomsday. Doomsday's out in December. The fact that you thought it was Spider-Man Doomsday, not Brand New Day, tells me that you're probably not a Marvel fan, because most Marvel fans would very likely not get that mixed up. Emmanuel, what's going on, brother? Thank you for joining today's stream. He says, hello again. Eric asked, who's Ryan Garcia? I did not know who he was. I would like to go back to not knowing who he was. I saw screenshots of tweets that he put out a few years ago, dropping an F-bomb, and not the F-bomb that I drop here on the streams. The more offensive F-bomb. That's calling out, I believe, gay people. I saw something else where he also may have used, I think he used the N-word. I don't know if it was in a tweet or a fight or a fight promo, whatever the fuck. I saw someone say that. I mean, the tweet I did see with my own eyes, and I don't think that was edited. I don't think that was fake. It seems like he's a real piece of shit. I didn't give a fuck about the segment or him to begin with. But especially after seeing that, I'm like, what are we doing? I mean, WWE should not be in bed and doing business with people of that caliber. I don't know how good of a boxer he is, but it seems as a person, he sounds like a piece of shit. What's my favorite AEW pay-per-view ever? All Out 2021. I was there for it. Punk's first match back. Daniel Bryan coming in, or Bryan Danielson rather. Adam Cole coming in. Ruby Soho. Minoru Suzuki making an appearance. Bucks and Lucha Bros inside of a steel cage for the tag titles. One of the best cage matches I've ever seen. So yeah, that is easily my favorite AEW pay-per-view. And also being there in Chicago for it was amazing. Eric said, what was the concert worse than the god-awful Mick Foley Divine Dominion promo? So RJ sent me that promo. He sent it to me, I think, yesterday. I watched it this morning. I didn't watch much of the pay-per-view until today. I watched the tweet that he sent me before I saw it myself when I was watching the show today. And I'm like, the fuck is this? I mean, like, he's on the chair and he's like, wow, 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 wow. I love Mick Foley. And I joked with RJ. I said, this is what he left WWE for. What they've done with Foley so far in AEW has been really good. Anytime I've seen him on Dynamite, it's been cool. His interaction with MJF at Double or Nothing was great. His interaction with Willow on Dynamite last week I thought was really good. They're very similar characters. His stuff with Darby was good. So it's not as if Mick Foley went to AEW and all of a sudden he's doing garbage work. How they've utilized him so far has been fine. That one promo, though, was fucking weird and it was stupid. But yes, shockingly, that Foley Divine Dominion promo was better than the concert last night. That concert was atrocious, and it went on for way too long. Fernando, what's going on, brother? So good morning, WrestleRant or Buenos Dias specifically. It always translates, and I know what Buenos Dias means. But for some reason, YouTube always translates it for me. He also said Raw was trash. Indeed it was, Fernando. Indeed it was. That show was not good. Richie said, hey, everyone, earlier. Fernando said, the Danhausen and Joe Hendry segment was the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not quite the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's easily the worst thing I've seen on Raw probably all year. There's been some bad segments. I think that one might take the cake. I know we all hated that segment back in March or February, and I still fucking hate it, where they're all running around. I think it was March, where, like, it was Rollins in the ring, and they had all those masked people, like, dancing around him and shit. That was fucking awful. This, I think, was worse than that. That was bad. This I think, is worse. This was probably the worst segment I've seen on a WWE television show all year. And that's coming from someone who loves Hendry and loves Danhausen even more. I think both guys are great. They're very entertaining. But WWE is starting to overexpose the Danhausen shit. And their use of him last night was kind of echoey of his debut from Elimination Chamber, where it's like WWE's trying to put their own spin on it, and it sucks. Richie said, are we sure Vince hasn't been back in the saddle already? These last few shows have been abysmal, although the Brock and Oba segment felt like a fun throwback. Does Brock bleed for Oba this Saturday? So 2 questions there. Yeah, honestly, with the Vince thing, I don't think Vince is back. I feel like and this includes Triple H, I just think a lot of the people in that writer's room think the same way that Vince would have. Oh, this would be entertaining. Let's do it. That probably includes Triple H, or TKO thinks it's a good idea, or a mix of both. I don't know, but either way, it was awful. So no, I don't think Vince is back. Could he be feeding ideas to people in the room? That is far from out of the realm of possibility. I mean, that is certainly possible. Do I think that's what's happening? No, not as much as a few years ago. But it's got the Vince fingerprints all over it for sure. Unfortunately, we can't blame Vince anymore. It's really just the writers that are there, and that's even worse. But does Brock bleed for Oba this Saturday? Good question. I'm going to say no. But that hasn't stopped. You know what? You know, it's Hell in the Cell. They did do Blood and Punk and McIntyre, and I think that was on purpose. I'm pretty sure. Was that on purpose, or did they bleed by accident? I don't remember. I'll say yes. You know what? We've seen Brock get busted open before in WWE. This is Hell in the Cell. I'm going to say yes. I think they also, either him or Taker or both. The first one, I know they got bloodied. But the second Hell in the Cell match from 2015, I think they got bloodied then too, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel said, do you think Braun's disinterested, unengaged look yesterday was a shoot or in character? I think it's a mix of both. I think Braun is absolutely fucking frustrated. You cannot convince me that man is like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm fine to be in a fucking tag team, and like the fourth most important person out there, maybe Max, probably closer to fifth most important person, behind Otis, Maxine, Theory, maybe even Tozawa. Completely ridiculous. My phone just went off thinking I said SIRI. But anyway. Yeah, I think it was a bit of I didn't notice his disinterested look. Was that going around on social media? I'm sure it was a mix of both. He's got to be fucking frustrated. And honestly, I don't blame him. So Ruka lost the IC Championship gold too quickly, Fernando said. I agree. Definitely. I mean, she had it for 2 months. She had a very uneventful run. And I'm the first one to sit here and be like, oh, this person had a great run. This person had a bad run, whatever. Even if it's short. Becky's had shorter IC title runs that meant more than that one did. Ruka won the belt 2 months ago, in a good match with Becky Lynch. They never had a rematch. The feud ended abruptly. We really haven't seen Becky at all since, for the most part, outside of like one match on Raw. Ruka had 2 title defenses. I think she had one against Lyra that was really good. The Raquel one I barely remember. And then Raquel won the second match they had, and that was it. So at this current point in time, I don't really care all that much about Raquel. I would have felt differently about this had it been 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago. Raquel has been such a fucking afterthought for a while now. I just don't care. I would rather see the belt on Maxine or Sol Ruka instead. Bill said evening or afternoon for you, Graham. Thank you, Bill. Like I said, I appreciate you joining us. Appreciate you becoming a channel member. That means a lot. Thank you so much for the support. It is afternoon currently, 3:12 to be exact, in the afternoon here on the East Coast. So thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Richie said, did not mean to select that last emoji. Oh, the tongue emoji when he was talking to Daniel? That's funny. Keyboard did me dirty, damn. That's funny. Top 5 El Idolo matches from any promotion, Fernando asked. Good question. Good question. Well, Andrade and Gargano, easily, from TakeOver Philly is number 1. I was at that match, and it's still one of the best NXT matches of all time. I think Richie was at that match, too. I feel like we've talked about that before. You were either at that one or the Adam Cole one. I was at that one, too. I was at both of them. They did one. I wasn't at the third one they had, but I was at the second one and first one between Gargano and Cole. I was also there for Gargano and Andrade. I think Richie was, too. He can correct me. But that is easily number 1. What other matches of his? I mean, he was involved in that awesome TLC match last year, that tag team title match. He was one of like fucking 12 people. I don't know if you would include that. I'm just thinking of WWE matches before I get to AEW matches. In WWE, he had a couple of really good matches with Rey Mysterio on television that I really enjoyed. Maybe back in like 2019, I want to say. They always worked really well together. I enjoyed their matches. He didn't really have a lot of standout matches on the main roster the first time. Oh, obviously the Carmelo Hayes matches. All of the Carmelo Hayes matches were really fucking good. Those stand out more than anything else he did during his 1-year return run in WWE. Was he even back for a year? Yeah, he was back for like a year and a half. Okay. And all of those matches were in 2024. 2025, he did practically nothing. And then he was teaming with Phoenix. They were a fun tag team. Then he quit after that, so. Yeah, nothing really stands out from WWE aside from the NXT matches. The Johnny match, some of the Rey Mysterio matches. Maybe there's other ones I'm not remembering off the top of my head. In NXT, when he lost the championship to Aleister Black, that was a great match. That was over WrestleMania weekend in 2018. In 2017, he had another match with Gargano at TakeOver Brooklyn 3. I was not there for that one, but I remember watching it and really liking it. He won the title from Drew McIntyre at TakeOver that November, and that was a really good match too. From AEW, my favorite matches of Andrade's, I liked him and Mark Davis last night. Him and Bandito had an excellent match a few months ago. Him and Darby had a really good match a few months ago as well, I believe at Revolution. I think it was Revolution. No, it was Dynasty. I think it was Dynasty that Darby and Andrade faced each other. The match with Omega recently on TV was great. Did he face Swerve on television? I feel like he did. Honestly, Andrade's body of work this entire fucking year has been unbelievable. I mean, the matches he's had with Omega, Adam Page, Swerve. I think he did face and beat Swerve. He had great matches with all three of those guys, Page, Omega, and Swerve. The match with Davis was great. Bandito was probably my favorite match of the year from him. Darby Allin and him had a great match. He's had some really good TV matches too. He faced Jake Doyle in a really good match that I was there for on Dynamite 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he's had a kick-ass year, man. I don't know if, what my all-time favorite Andrade matches are. I mean, him and Danielson also had some really good matches back, I want to say in 2023, right before he left AEW. They had some really good matches back then. What other matches from his first run really stand out? I'm trying to remember. He had a whole bunch of series of matches with like Guevara and Darby. I'd have to look back. But yeah, those are some of my favorite Andrade matches. Do I think Kenny turned heel? I have not watched the show yet, Fernando, so I haven't watched the end of the show yet. You might have been not here when I mentioned this. I have watched most of the pay-per-view from Sunday. I had to end it right before going live. I was in the middle of Willow and Tekla. So I have not finished the show, and I have not finished the women's match. I only have to finish the women's match and probably Omega and Knight, and that's about it. Kadeem addressed Daniel for this question. I don't know if he was talking to me, but his question regardless was, is there any chance that WWE needs to take a break from Danhausen? I'm just tired with the act and the Joe Hendry concert. Who's booking this crap? Great question. I mean, it's obviously Triple H. You can't be like, oh, Triple H cooks and then he does this shit and we don't blame him. Like, for all the good stuff Triple H has his fingerprints on, he has his fingerprints in the bad shit too. Let's not get that conflicted or confused or whatever about that. Anyway, I don't think they have to get rid of Danhausen. They just need to do him in smaller doses. Danhausen's awesome. I think he's hilarious. I bought a Danhausen shirt at Fanatics Fest a few weeks ago. But at the same time, he's all over the show, specifically Raw right now. He's overexposed. He should not have a match at SummerSlam. I'm sorry. People try to come for me for that opinion. Fuck off. I mean, that segment people are trying to defend the match. And then we get that segment last night. Give me a break. Let me backtrack a little bit here. Which match, Fernando said, should main on which day between Cody and Punk and Roman and Seth? Well, we already know Roman and Seth is night 2. Cody and Punk is night 1. They announced that last night. Kadeem was addressing me with that question, but no worries, Kadeem. I figured that's what you meant. But, Fernando, I would do Cody Punk night 2. I am more excited for that match than Roman and Rollins, but the way they've built Roman and Rollins and the story and the history there, I get why it's night 2. Roman, I would say they're not going to put him in the night 1 main event, but they did that with WrestleMania last year. Roman was in the night 1 main event last year. Last year, he fucking opened night 1 of SummerSlam. He wasn't even in the main event of either show. Took a back seat there for a while. I think he was opening a lot of those pay-per-views last year. But yeah, I would book Cody and Punk night 2. I think that's the more intriguing match. It's the more unpredictable match. Roman and Rollins, I'm looking forward to. I'm excited for it, but I think Roman wins, LOL, and he should. I don't really think there's much question there. Eric said, I have a great question for next week's hashtag AskGSM. Is Liv on the Mount Rushmore of worst women's world WWE world champions? I mean, you're asking me that. I mean, spoiler alert, I'll answer it now, but the answer is yes. She's been champion for 3 months. It depends. What does worst mean? You know, like Alicia Fox was champion, or not Alicia Fox, Jillian Hall won the Divas title and immediately lost it 5 minutes later. Is she a worse champion than Liv? Yeah, probably. But like, for the Women's World Championship, since that like championship was renamed to that since WrestleMania 40, yeah, she is the worst Women's World Champion they've had during this run. Ever? I mean, there were runs where Trish was champion for like a fucking year and may have defended it twice. So that might have been worse. But it's also a case of like, they have people for Liv to face. They just have actively not had her defend the championship, which is wild to me. But my automatic answer without thinking about it a lot is yes, she is on the Mount Rushmore, as you say, of worst women's world champions in WWE. Those legacy superstar championships are crazy, Emmanuel said. Yes, they fucking are. The price is crazy, and they look ugly as shit. Richie said $800 is nasty. Is that how much the Lesnar one is? That's crazy. He said that new Lesnar commemorative title should have had a toilet as the front plate instead of the weird skull logo. You're telling me, Richie. That is a fucking ugly-ass belt. Let's be real. Punk's last match is going to be against Gunther, LMAO. Honestly, you're probably right. I was not going to say that, but you might be right. Like, I know he already faced and beat Gunther, but maybe Gunther gets his win back by ending Punk's career. That would be fucking lazy. You can't have Gunther end everyone's career. I would not do that, but would they do that in the next year or two? I would not be shocked. There are worse options than Gunther, but I would not do that personally, especially since we've already seen the match. If they want to run it back, that first match was great. That match was awesome. I don't need to know. I don't need to see Gunther be the one to retire Punk, though, personally. They already did it with Cena. Nathaniel said, it actually, by the way, before I go on, would make more sense for him to retire Orton, since Orton's the legend killer. So if Gunther were to retire Orton, I feel like that makes more sense. With Punk, I just don't think that's necessary. Nathaniel said, do you think Paige will turn heel and join Fatal Influence? I've seen that theory floated. I don't think so. What point would that even serve? She'd be the fucking fourth member of a group that doesn't need her. I mean, she would wrestle a lot less than she does now. People want to cheer Paige. I think that would be dumb. No thanks. You're going to get her away from Brie, but let's put her in another group. To me, that would be Social Outcast 2.0. Not Social Outcasts. What were their names? The Outcasts in AEW? We had the Social Outcasts in WWE like a decade ago. That was a group of jobbers that were together for like 3 months, max. Richie said, can you make a case for why Total Diva should return and even replace WWE Unreal? Actually, I can. I think you're joking, Richie, but quite honestly, Total Divas did make a lot of new fans for WWE. I have met said fans. I have known of people who got into WWE or were more aware of WWE because of Total Divas on the E! Network. Now, was the show garbage a lot of the time? Was it hard to sit through? Yes, it was train wreck television. That's reality TV. It went on for way too long. The storylines were forced and just ridiculous. But you could say the same thing with Unreal. Unreal is actively doing more damage to WWE in the perception of WWE in their behind-the-scenes creative meetings and booking decisions than anything Total Divas ever exposed. Unreal has exposed a lot about WWE, but not for the right reasons. It has actually done them a massive disservice. Total Divas, it didn't really make WWE look bad. I mean, they incorporated a lot of the Total Divas storylines onto television, and that really kind of made the show awful. Like a lot of the Total Divas versus the real roster of women, like that shit was garbage. But the actual show, I mean, the thing with bringing back Total Divas is they're not divas anymore. And I don't even really know who you would put on that show that would make sense, if we're seriously speaking here. But it is worth mentioning, and I will say this for a fact, I do think Total Divas had more benefits for WWE than WWE Unreal has so far. And I like WWE Unreal. I haven't seen the third season yet, but it seems like every time a season comes out, people are constantly shitting on the company. Eric said, I'm more of a DC guy than Marvel. That would explain it. Did you see Supergirl? I like Supergirl. Did not get great reviews, though, unfortunately. Fernando said, if WWE has to punish us with all of these celebrities, can they get someone we know or have heard of? Yeah, preach, Fernando, preach. I mean, I've heard of Ashton Kutcher. Do you want Ashton Kutcher involved in WWE? I think he has some controversies against him, too. Speaking of the celebrities, Richie said, Ryan Garcia is literal trash. There's too many public figures in the combat sports world that continue to get endorsements in major bouts when they should be buried into obscurity. Yeah, I mean, again, is he that good to where that people excuse his behavior and dumb shit that he has said? Like, a lot of these things, what boggles my mind, and I already know the answer, is that people like him, from what I've seen, will say the absolute grossest, most disgusting, heinous shit on social media. Just being outright misogynist or sexist or whatever. Racist, among other things. And then it boggles my mind that, I mean, if you think that way, first of all, is bad enough, that they think it would be a good idea to then say that on social media. But like I said, I already know the answer to that comment, to that question. If they thought it was wrong to put it on social media, then they probably wouldn't say it or they probably wouldn't even think it in the first place. So if they're dumb enough to be like that racist or that sexist or whatever, then they're probably also dumb enough to put it on social media. So I think I already know the answer to my own question. Am I surprised that Maya World beat Sheeta? I am, and I'm happy she won. Sheeta only just won the belt fucking 3 weeks ago. But you can't keep giving Maya World opportunities, and then she loses. Like, she had to win eventually. Because she's gotten organically over. She's good. She's promising. And they didn't give her the women's world title, but they gave her this TBS title, and I think that's a nice consolation prize. So I was surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised. Sheeta did not need a long run. Is Danhausen starting to get run into the ground? That process has begun, Fernando. Correct, yes. Love Danhausen, but yes. Definitely. Fernando mentioned Grunt. Is Grunt here and I missed it? Did I miss Grunt? If Grunt is here, then they did not show his comment, or they blacked it out or something, because maybe he included like a expletive or something. I don't know. Let's do all chat. Let's do that. Let me backtrack. Because Fernando mentioned Grunt, and I don't think Grunt's here, though, so I don't know why he mentioned Grunt. Oh, Give Me Back Shots, Cruz Montana is here. The chat did not show that. I did not ignore that. That was only because we had a top chat on. I guess that got blocked out. So, Give Me Back Shots, Cruz Montana, baby, said. Who else is watching NXT tonight? Make sure to watch NXT. I will be watching NXT, Mr. Give Me Back Shots, Cruz Montana. I will indeed be watching. Thank you for the comment. Was he here earlier? I think he was here earlier. Yes, he said make sure to tune in tonight. Yeah, he actually commented twice. Thank you for promoting Mr. Give Me Back Shots, Cruz Montana. I appreciate you. Let's see. What else? Where did we leave off? Nathaniel said, Nikki Bella said she'll retire at the end of 2027. Would you want her to win the Women's World Championship on Raw or SmackDown? No, I don't. I'd rather see that belt on Paige, to be honest, and I don't think even that's going to happen, and I don't think that's even necessary, so no. Nikki Bella does not need to have one more run as Women's World Champion. Mid-card belt, maybe. That's about it. Emmanuel said, random topic, but I saw that you gave Shrek the Third, 4 stars and a heart on Letterboxd. Does that mean that you think the Prince Charming main event push was underrated? So my justification for that was I've gone back and done a little bit of a rewatch for the Shrek movies. It's taken me a long time because I'm constantly watching other stuff and doing other stuff. But we got to Shrek 3 recently, and it was actually better than I remember. I did not really remember loving the movie. I've seen it a few times. I've not seen it in full in, I don't know, maybe fucking 20 years. I don't know. It actually is very funny. It's not the same as the first two. The first two are 2 goated animation movies, 2 of the greatest animated movies of all time, in my opinion, are Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, both 5-star movies. Shrek 3 is not, like, amazing. I do think it's a great movie, though. I think it's a good concept. It's still entertaining. A lot of the same cast. They did bring back Prince Charming for that. And yeah, I think it was, I mean, he himself as a lead villain is not as strong as the Fairy Godmother or Lord Farquaad, but I still do think the movie was very good. I saw Shrek 4 at the time. That was, again, almost 20 years ago, 16 years ago. I haven't seen it since. I'll go back and watch it at some point as part of this rewatch. But yeah, I actually really did like the movie. The heart means I enjoyed it. If I don't heart a movie on Letterboxd, it's because I might have thought it was really good, or I get why people liked it, but it wasn't like one of my movies that I really liked. I can recognize a movie as being very good, but not being a movie that I'll ever watch again or that I liked. I liked Shrek the Third. I thought it was enjoyable. Daniel said, funny how Seth's public views about Night 1, Night 2 main events have seemed to have shifted now that he is main eventing Night 2. LOL. Kind of, but not really, because I saw him say recently, this might have been an Unreal, he still feels he is not main evented WrestleMania. Because he's been in the Night 1 main event. He fucking won the Night 1 main event at WrestleMania 40. He was a part of WrestleMania 41. He was a part of the tag team match in the WrestleMania main event at WrestleMania 40. But not in the WrestleMania Night 2 main event. He obviously cashed in at 31. He doesn't count that. So that still does, but he's not like, oh, I main evented Mania. Night 2 doesn't matter. It's fine. No, he still does say that, like, being a part of the Night 2 main event matters more than Night 1. He has said that before. Night 2 is, they save the bigger match always for Night 2. They have never done a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam or whatever where the lesser of the 2 matches, as far as how they're built, goes on a Night 1 instead of Night 2. The bigger match has always been saved for last, and it should be. But Seth also, he probably doesn't give a fuck about main eventing SummerSlam as much because he's done it before. He main evented SummerSlam in 2019 with Brock. He beat Brock clean for the Universal Championship. So he did it that year. He's had a lot of great matches at SummerSlam. I don't think he's ever main evented otherwise. Not in 2014 or 13 or 15. 16, no. He's been a part of a lot of world title matches at SummerSlam that did not main event. 16, 17, 18, no. 19, he was. 20, he faced Dom, so no. 2021 was the Amazing Edge match, not the main event. 2022, he was not on. 2023, he defended the World Championship against Balor, did not main event. 2024, he was a ref and not in the main event for Punk and Drew. And then last year, he did win the World Championship at SummerSlam on Night 1 via a cash-in. So he has main evented SummerSlam before, and he's going to main event again this weekend. Thoughts on NXT being moved to ESPN Unlimited? I did get that news. I got that email, Eric. Does that mean that they are not going to stream the NXT PLEs on the CW channel anymore? I would think so, that they're not going to do that anymore. I don't know if that was made clear. Personally speaking, I don't care because the WWE PLEs are already on ESPN anyway. They were free on the CW television channel, but I'm sorry, the Great American Bash, I didn't watch it live. The amount of commercials they were airing during the fucking matches was egregious. And the matches weren't like great to begin with for the most part. They can never do that again. Unless they do the commercials after the matches, which they are not going to do. Do not ever put another NXT PLE on free television. Just put it on fucking YouTube. I think they did that with Stand and Deliver, and they didn't have nearly as many commercials. They had way more commercials because it aired on TV back in April. So if they put it on ESPN Unlimited, yeah, you got to pay for it. But if you already have ESPN Unlimited for the WWE pay-per-views anyway, then you're probably fine, unless you have to pay another price on top of that. I don't know how it works. I already have ESPN Unlimited. I don't know. It was included with my subscription, so it was fine. But if it means that on ESPN Unlimited, they will save the commercials until after each match, they were doing that on Peacock anyway, so I actually think that's an improvement. What do I think is the greatest WWE Hell in a Cell match? Shawn Taker, right? 97, the first one. Probably that one. I think Punk and Drew was amazing. There's been so many great ones, really. Punk and Drew from a few years ago is the best modern day one. Edge and Rollins, I think, is one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time. You can also say Taker Mankind, of course. I look at that more as a spectacle than a match. But I would probably say Shawn and Taker, the first ever one from 97. Richie said, Punk getting color was on purpose. Drew getting busted open was an accident. Okay. So if Punk getting busted open was on purpose, then I could see them also doing it on purpose for the Cell match on Saturday. That would be great. Is it still Saturday or is it Sunday? I think it's Saturday. There's still plenty of Roxanne. She's only 23. Listen, Eric, I get it. That's such a WWE fucking excuse, though. Oh, she's still so young. She has another 10 years. Why wait? She's good now. There's no reason to wait. That would be silly. Please don't do that. You don't need to put the fucking world belt on her right now. But you also don't need to rush her either. Richie was at TakeOver Philly. Okay, thank you for confirming, Richie. That was a great show. All the takeovers I went to during that era of NXT were just so fucking good. They were all really, really good. I mean, some of my favorite shows I've ever gone to were NXT takeovers, including that one. That one, actually, Mr. Marceau and I, we went on our first, I think, road trip together, actually. We went on a road trip for Extreme Rules in 2016, but we didn't stay over. We stayed over in Philly because we wanted to go to TakeOver, too. So we drove into Philly on Saturday afternoon, went to TakeOver that night, slept in the hotel for a night, went to the Royal Rumble the next day, also in Philly, and then drove home after the Rumble. And he slept in my place because I was kind of on the way to his place because he's in Mass, I'm in Connecticut. And I think we got back at like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. It was late, but it was a lot of fun, though. Daniel said, how much do you personally care about the age of WWE's main event scene or the roster as a whole? I don't care. But I think there needs to be more youth in the main event scene. Cody being 40 in the main event scene, that's fine. But you also need to actively be building up the new stars. So I'm not like, oh, we can't be pushing LA Knight. He's already 42. Like, no, he should still be the fucking world champion. But it's also like, oh, can't be pushing Javon. He's only 22. No, bro. Like, you can be pushing these people. I look at the talent. The age is important, but it's not as important as people, like, make it out to be. I just think it's also important to be building up youth, but also giving the people on the older side. I think there can be a better balance with WWE. Let's put it that way. Richie said, crazy. We could have met much earlier in person, LOL. I doubt you were wearing a Christian shirt then, though, so I wouldn't have realized it was you. Well, Richie, if I'm correct, that TakeOver Philly show was a month after I met you in person. As obviously I've discussed before, Richie and I have been friends through Twitter for a very, very long time, probably well over 10 years, probably closer to 15, 14 years. But we met at a Northeast Wrestling show, a local indie here in Connecticut, in December. I think it was December 1st, I want to say, 2017. It was either December 1st, I think it was December 1st, 2017. And the show that we're talking about was January 2018. So I actually already met you a month earlier, but I did not see you at that show. Obviously, we didn't sit together, so. But yeah, we had already met in person by that point. I don't think after I saw you in person at that Northeast Wrestling show. I don't think I met you in person again until you invited me to like your bachelor party attending SmackDown at Barclays Center about 2 years later, almost exactly, which was also an amazing time. And you surprised me with that. I was like, holy shit, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much. And that was awesome. And that was a really fun show as well. Daniel said, how successful do you think the Shield would have been had it been Hero instead of Roman like Punk wanted? I don't think they would have been as successful. I don't. I think a big reason why they were protected for as long as they were was because Roman was in the group, and that group had fucking aura. If Cassius Ohno was in the group, they would have absolutely settled into a mid-card role pretty fucking quickly. I'm trying to find a different, like, another group to compare it to. You know what it would have been similar to? It would have been a very early version. I think this is perfect. It would have been a very early version of the Shield. Or I'm sorry, the Shield would have been a very early version of the Undisputed Era. We never saw the Undisputed Era on the main roster full time because most of them either got fired or left. None of them actually ever had a main roster run. Roddy was always in NXT. He left on his own. Bobby Fish got fired. O'Reilly and Cole both left on their own. So none of them ever had a main roster run, which was pretty fucking crazy. But if they were on the main roster when Vince was running it, they would not be successful. They would have been a mid-card group and been broken up within a couple of months. And they were already broken up in NXT before they even would have gotten to the main roster, which was also a mistake. But if I'm talking in that version of WWE, with Vince running WWE in 2012, if it was Ono, Hero, whatever, instead of Roman, they absolutely would not have been beating Daniel Bryan, Ryback, John Cena, Sheamus, Big Show, Orton, and gone undefeated for as long as they did. No way is that group as successful as they were. Daniel said, also, who of the three members would be least successful without being in the Shield? Ooh, that's a good question. In WWE, Roman was always going to be a big deal. I mean, he obviously wasn't ready for like main eventing stuff when they first shoved him down people's throats, and the circumstances also sucked. People wanted Bryan, and they took it out on Roman, and he never really was able to shake that off. Roman would have been fine. Honestly, probably Ambrose. I mean, people always looked at Moxley/Ambrose as like the breakout heel of the Shield. But Rollins was just so much better in the ring. You would think Rollins would have been like lost in the shuffle. But Rollins ended up adapting to both being a heel and a babyface. Moxley never really had the chance to be a successful heel in WWE on his own. They turned him heel way too late, and by that point, the shit they were giving him to say and do was atrocious. So bad it caused him to quit not long after when his contract was coming up. Ambrose never really reached the same heights. You know, I mean, without the Shield, would Rollins have been a 5-time world champion? I don't know. He probably still would have made it to the main event because he's just that good. Ambrose is also that good too, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I don't think Vince would have seen it with him. I think you would have always seen Moxley, Ambrose, whatever, as a mid-carder. Or an upper mid-carder at most, because that's basically what he was after the Shield broke up. He was a world champion for a few months, not really before that, and not really after that. He did main event a lot of pay-per-views, but he was only a one-time world champion, and it only lasted 4 months, and as soon as that was over, his days of being a main eventer were over. Do I think Dirty Dom has gone stagnant? I do. Yes, he was really over a year ago, especially coming out of WrestleMania. I thought he had a really good run as Intercontinental Champion, and honestly, ever since he got that belt back from Cena, they have completely fucked his booking. I know he got hurt, but there's no excuse for how they've handled him since then. The Balor feud was fine, and he lost it, okay. Feuding with Danhausen, the fuck are we doing, man? I mean, come on. This guy should be prepped and primed to win Money in the Bank in September, or October, actually. And instead, that kind of feels like a joke at this point. Especially if he loses to Danhausen coming up on Saturday or Sunday this weekend. Again, give me back shots. Cruz Montana said, who else is watching NXT tonight? I will likely be watching live. I've been watching the show live a lot lately. I've been having to do live coverage for the show over at Bleacher Report, so I don't think I'm doing that tonight. But I will likely be watching the show. Alexis has like rehearsal, so we're not really doing anything else. Let me go to Bill's question first. A newly member added before we go back to everyone else's. Bill said, do I think Gunther beats Aldis? Is this a one and done for Nick? Or do I think he gets a run now? I don't think he gets a run. I would love if he did. Would they book him properly? I don't know. Beyond this, I don't know what is in store for him. I think he loses to Gunther, and he should. Gunther has lost way too much this year. Gunther's got to fucking win. Gunther should win, and I think this is it for the feud. I think this is it for all this in the ring, and then he goes back to being a GM. I would like to see this lead to more. I guess it also depends. Honestly, Triple H might be of the mentality, all right, you've been begging for this spot for years now. Fucking prove to me that you can go in the ring. And if you can prove it, then we'll give you more matches. If you stink the house up and you're not that good, especially with Gunther, if you can't have at least a good match with Gunther, then that's a fucking issue. Then, we'll put you back as a GM. So honestly, I think this weekend is a real test. Like, as a shoot, not even as a, in storyline. Fernando said, why do you think WWE can't help themselves from running shit into the ground? Why can't they just control themselves? It's WWE just, that's always been in their nature, whether it's been Triple H, Vince. I mean, they find something successful, and I mean, companies do this, I get it. Not even wrestling companies. Companies in general find something that works, and they run it into the fucking ground. I mentioned this before, but remember the Caveman Geico commercials? This, to me, is like the ultimate example. Those commercials were great. It's so easy a caveman can do it. Car insurance, blah, blah, blah. They were great. They went so fucking far with it because they were so successful for a short period. They gave him his own show. It is regarded as one of the worst shows of all time. And I kind of looked into it recently. I'm like, well, that was the thing, right? Like, they actually did that. And they did. That was an actual thing that happened many years ago. Many, many years ago. Imagine if Tom Brady wins a WWE title. Nathaniel, you are allowed one stupid question each week. I love you, Nathaniel. You're throwing out this random nonsense. Let's not will that into existence. I know Gronk was the 24/7 champion. Unless they dust that shit off and pull it out of the dumpster, Tom Brady ain't winning shit in WWE. Maybe a match with Logan Paul for a championship, though? Fuck no. A match is enough, and we shouldn't even get that. What are my thoughts on the weigh-in last night, Fernando asked? I thought it was fine. It was ridiculous. Honestly, I've seen better segments with these two. I thought they really haven't been able to top that first segment since after Night of Champions. That was their best segment together. Since Brock came back to TV or whatever. Since they announced the third match, nothing on the road to SummerSlam has been better than that. But I thought it was fine. It's better than the fucking concert. Do I think CM Punk has another world title win in his final year? We don't know when his final year is. I mean, he's already won the world championship 3 fucking times. I mean, that's more than people thought he would, if he would even win it once. I feel like this might be it. I said that about the last run, but now he's WWE champion. I think this is it. Could he lose the belt and get it back? Sure. I think this might be the last time he wins a world championship in WWE. Especially with it being in Chicago. Just the Outcast was their name, Eric said. Yeah, the Outcasts in AEW, not the Social Outcast. That was in WWE. Fernando said, bleep Tom Brady. Yeah. I don't hate the guy. I just don't give a fuck about him being in a WWE ring. I also turned on all chat, so if you swear, you should be fine. It shouldn't get blocked, but I don't know. Bill said, I already answered Bill's question. Fernando said, do you think we get a definitive winner between Cody versus Punk, or do we get some outside interference from Sami Zayn? I hope not. I mean, Sami's already facing Finn. If Sami wasn't on the show, I would say, okay, maybe. But it's a main event, man. Like, I don't want any interference bullshit in that match or Roman and Rollins on night 2. I'm going to say no. I think we get when you say definitive winner, I think there will be some shenanigans where, like, Punk wins by pulling the tights, or like they're going to do some bullshit finish. I don't think it's because of interference, though. I think there will be a bullshit finish, but I don't think it's because of Sami Zayn. Whether or not Sami Zayn becomes the next number 1 contender or not. Let me backtrack a little bit. Hold on. Let's see. Sunshine making some random accusations. We'll get to Sunshine's comment in a second, my goodness. Anyway, Nathaniel had said, would you rather see Tom Brady play football again or face Cody Rhodes in a ring in 2030? I would rather see Tom Brady on a football because that way I wouldn't have to watch him. Do we see Mello get added to Trick and Corbin? I don't, Daniel. I feel like if they were going to do that, they would have already announced that as the match as opposed to setting up a singles match. They absolutely should, but I feel like we're having the same conversation about this that we did before Mania add Carmelo to the Mania match. They didn't do it. I don't think this is any different, and I have no fucking clue why. Fernando said, everything you said about that guy talking about the Ryan Garcia goof is true, sadly. This is what folks elected president these days. No lies detected there, Fernando. Emmanuel said, do you think James Gunn and DC should have built up Supergirl more before giving her a main event push? Did they give her, what is a main event push, Emmanuel? I know you're trying to use wrestling terms, but they gave her own movie. It was like an origin story. It was fine. We saw her in Superman. I thought the way they introduced her was fine. I liked the movie. People didn't like it, that's fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not like they're building the entire fucking DC universe around Supergirl. I don't think. New, what's going on, brother? He said, hey, Graham, I believe that you had power outage last night as well. I did not have a power outage last night. Was it because of weather reasons that you experienced that, noob? I did not. Thankfully, my power goes out quite a bit. It has not gone out in a while. But I did not have a power outage. So I watched Raw live. Show sucked, but I did watch the show live. Fernando said, I used to watch NXT. It sucks right now. It's not great. It's fine. There are some elements of NXT I like, but it's not an exciting show. Like when I was covering it, I'm like, man, this is like a fucking chore. This show is just not great. It's just not a great show. Bill said later, is Bayley's time in WWE done now? I think she'll be back, but I think when I say she'll be back, I think her contract expires the end of the year. I believe reportedly, unless it's up before then. I think Bayley's gone when her contract is up, but I do think we have not seen the last of Bayley in WWE, as in she will be back before her contract expires. And she'll have more of a definitive send-off, or maybe not, I don't know. Am I watching Brand New Day on Friday? No, I might see it on Thursday instead. If not Thursday, then Friday, because I don't fly out until Friday night. But I can't be missing my fucking flight, so yeah, we will see. I'm very likely to see Brand New Day on Thursday, though, after we record WrestleRant Radio. Am I excited about Donkey Kong getting his own spin-off movie? Has that been confirmed from Nathaniel? I know he wasn't in the second Mario movie. He was great. Seth Rogen did a good job voicing him in the first one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's fine. Fernando said, if you're Tony Khan, do you book Willow to become a transitional champion, or does Mercedes win the Owen and lose it all in 2 years in a row? I think it's a lose-lose. I mean, Mercedes has already failed to win the title twice. And is Willow really going to win the title and lose it again? I think Mercedes wins the championship. I don't know why they put the belt on Willow just to have her lose it a month later. And then why have Mercedes win the whole thing if she's going to lose 2 years in a row and after already losing 2 other opportunities at the Women's World Championship? Sunshine, I think taking shots at CM Punk, I'm pretty sure. Saying some random stuff, talking about being an idiot in and on and off camera. Do the homework. The guy is cringe, wouldn't hurt anyone. I don't know. Very strange. Sunshine taking some shots at CM Punk. Clearly not a CM Punk fan. Daniel said, if Cody went back to AEW, do you think the world title stipulation would still be active? Storyline-wise, it should be. That's a good question. They would have to explain, it's off. I mean, they would have to acknowledge it, obviously. One, I don't think he ever goes back there. Maybe for an appearance down the road. But for a run, I think he's done. Because at this point in WWE, he's kind of like the guy, you know. But yeah, I think it would still be active. Because in that case, if it's not, then what would stop them from Adam Page being like, well, I quit, and then I'm going to come back, like in storyline? That would just be dumb. Do you have a favorite tag team rivalry? Good question. Favorite tag team rivalry? Yeah, Beer Money and Motor City Machine Guns. TNA 2010. Boom, right there. There's your answer. Richie said, you're right, dog. My timeline is all effed up. Eric said, you think Tatum is a Raw SmackDown after SummerSlam call-up? I do. I think she's going to get called up and work with Lyra. That would be my guess. Richie said, my 7 concussions taking over. SmackDown, NXT. Oh, he's talking about the timeline of when we met. Yeah. I mean, honestly, those shows were so long ago, it's very easy to get them mixed up, Richie, so I don't blame you. SmackDown, NXT combo, absolute goated show. Yeah, we went to SmackDown, and then we got to see an NXT taping after that, and got to see, like, fucking Dominic Dijakovic and Keith Lee and all these other people. Like, where the fuck did this come from? They were taping for their Christmas show. Yeah, Sunshine is no CM Punk fan. I could see her shitting on Punk in another comment. Thank you for subscribing, Sunshine. I appreciate the support. Fernando said, Graham, can you see any similarities between the Roman and Seth feud and the Shawn and Triple H feud from back in the day? I can, actually. Would I compare the two? No. But I think they rely a lot on history. Their chemistry isn't always the greatest. They've had some great matches, but not some not so less interesting matches. I think Roman and Seth actually have better in-ring chemistry than Shawn and Triple H. Because there was a lot of Roman and Triple H and Shawn matches that were not all that great. But I can see the similarities for sure. I always compared Shawn and Triple H to Seth and Dean, but I think Roman and Seth at this point might be more appropriate. Manuel said, do you think the roster age range discourse is a reactionary take from people who just want to argue about WWE pushing the same people? I think that's part of it, yeah. I do. Age is an issue, but it's not like the be-all, end-all, the end-all, be-all that people make it out to be. It's not. You're unhappy with the product, so you're pissed they're pushing fucking older people. Brother, the issue is the exact opposite 10, 15 years ago when all they did was push 20, 30-year-olds, and then older people weren't given a shot, even though they were world championship ready. Who gives a shit how fucking old they are? If they're good, they're good. Who cares? Sunshine is also not a Tony Khan fan, I see as well. Shitting on Tony Khan. She is just sparing no expense here. Let's see. Fernando said, last week I brought up getting the 4 horsewomen back together without Sasha Banks, but how about uniting the 3 of them for a one-off PLE versus Fatal Influence? It would print money. I would be fine with that. I still disagree with you that reuniting the 4 horsewomen without Sasha, like putting someone else in Sasha's spot, would just be fucking dumb. I mean, you can't do... I mean, it just wouldn't make sense. But if you were to just reunite Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte for a one-off match with Fatal Influence, I think that would be a great, Evolution match. If they do Evolution again, which they're not anytime soon, but it was great last year. It's one of the best pay-per-views of the year, if not the best pay-per-view of the year for WWE. Fernando also said, what is going on with Priest on AAA? I don't watch AAA, so I don't know, but he and Truth are fighting the Viking, or War Raiders rather, for the WWE tag titles and the AAA tag titles this Friday on SmackDown. He'll probably win. So he'll probably end up in AAA as a tag team champion very soon. Fernando said, why not Nick Aldis full time? I would love Nick Aldis full time. My only concern is, 1, would they have anything to do with him? And 2, I just don't think they would make him full time. If they wanted to make him full-time, they would have made him full-time a long time ago when he was 3 years younger. You know what I mean? I would love to see him full-time, don't get me wrong. I just don't really know why they waited this long. I also just don't see them doing it, so I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. Fernando said, should Punk get a Cena type of farewell tour after having matches with past enemies? I would like that. Punk has literally said before he does not want to do that. He doesn't want a farewell tour, whether it be branded as such or not. He would rather just disappear into the sunset. Now, we'll talk about his final opponent momentarily. I think they would probably bill that as his last match, or we would know going into it it's his last match, but he doesn't want a fucking tour. And honestly, old enemies, who would even be an old enemy for Punk to face? Genuine question, because Samoa Joe is in AEW. Daniel Bryan is done. He's in AEW anyway. So he's not facing any of his old Ring of Honor buddies. Him and Roman isn't an old match. They just had a match this year. Cena's gone now. He faced Cena last year. You have Randy Orton. You could do him and Orton again, although we haven't seen it in 10, 15 years. You could do him and Orton again. So that would be 1. Him and Owens would be an amazing feud. That's not like an old enemy. Maybe from some behind-the-scenes bullshit between the two, but it's not like an on-screen memorable feud, you know. Colt Cabana is a past enemy, but he's not in WWE. They wouldn't do that anyway for obvious reasons. JBL retired. Has been retired for a long time. Edge works for AEW. Can't be doing that. Jeff Hardy. Maybe Jeff. Jeff would be cool. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they might still be in TNA by the time Punk retires, but I could be wrong. Plus, if they bring in the Hardys, they would be a tag team act. They would not be doing single stuff, I wouldn't think. I feel like that time is over. Or, permanent single stuff. So probably not Jeff. Jericho, AEW. It's funny, all of his old rivals currently work for the opposing promotion. So, I don't think we'll get, even if they wanted to do that, I don't think they would be able to. Do I have faith in Clayface and Lanterns? I do. I think what James Gunn largely has done with the DCU so far has been great. Until those projects fail, like aren't good, then I will still have faith. But yeah, especially Clayface. Clayface looks awesome. Lanterns I don't really care as much about, but I will watch it. Maybe Supergirl appears in the second Superman movie. I think that's been confirmed, Nathaniel. The post-credit scene or the end credit, whatever, the ending of Supergirl pretty much confirmed that she will be in that movie. Am I enjoying Lyra's heel turn? If she's on television, then yes. I would be enjoying it, but she has not been on TV since she beat Bayley. She had a Netflix exclusive promo last week that I did not fucking see because it was not on my feed. It was in the commercial for the international viewers. This year, or this week, I don't even think she was on. Did she cut a promo? I don't even know. I missed it. Fernando saying, do I have awesome seats? For SummerSlam, the first night, I am sitting in the crowd, I believe. I don't know where I'm sitting. I'm going with a company that, like, they're doing, like, this media thing. The night 2, I'm in the press box. I don't know where the press box is in Viking Stadium, so I'll post a picture and you guys can see it for yourself. Night 1, I don't know where I am. I think I'm in the crowd. I don't know. Where I'm sitting, I do not know. I will find out as it gets closer, though. Hopefully it's a good seat. I just like being there, so I don't really care personally. Sunshine is very passionate about that. Sunshine said, thank you for the interaction, everyone. Well, thank you, Sunshine, for including your comments. I know you're no AEW fan, or a CM Punk fan, or a Tony Khan fan. No one cares about Punk. He's only known for his pipe bomb. Hey, you can feel all you want to feel, Sunshine. I may not agree, but feel free to make your opinions be heard. That's what we're all about here. I'm not trying to censor you. Unless you're disrespectful, then I'm not going to censor you. And it seems like you just don't like CM Punk and AEW. That's fine. Thank you for joining and becoming a subscriber, though. Donkey from Shrek, Nathaniel. Oh, okay. No, I think that's dumb. I love Eddie Murphy. That doesn't really seem like a movie that should exist. Donkey getting a fucking, like, prequel in 2020, whatever it's going to be, that just sounds stupid. Donkey Kong was my favorite character in Super Mario Bros. Yeah, in that movie or in the games. Either way, he is great. Manuel said, I assume Willow would have won the Owen Hart tournament if she didn't get injured, but AEW and TK are now trying to improv. Yeah, but here's the thing. Then don't put the belt on Willow. Okay, so here's the thing. I agree with you. I also don't even know if the injury was real, because Willow was only gone for like a month or two. I don't know. Her whole situation is kind of weird. If their end game was to always do Willow in Tekla at All In, why is Tekla not a part? It's more important for you to run back Willow and Mercedes again. At that point, just do Mercedes and Tekla. And if they were going to do Tekla and Willow at All In, where would Mercedes have fit into it? You know, like Mercedes coming back when she did kind of felt like it was planned. I don't know if they brought her back early. Very weird. I don't know. That whole situation is odd to me. So, yeah, would Mercedes not have been a part of All In? That's what I find hard to believe. Let me backtrack a little bit here. Hold on. Fernando said, I understand what Sunshine is saying. He had drama. We're talking about CM Punk. He had drama at Ring of Honor, WWE, his first run, and then bad drama at AEW, and then the way his friendship with Colt Cabana ended, Sunshine. You have a point about Punk. Punk definitely has a checkered past. He has also made a lot of enemies. Let's put it that way. Fernando's got her back. Beware of some lore. You'll be confused about that, though. There is a lot of lore in these chats, Sunshine, so thank you for joining, but you will miss out on a lot of the lore. You have to go back and watch a lot of these episodes, and also WrestleRant Radio. For the last, she also said in another comment, she said she appreciates Fernando having her back. She's been around for a long time on the inside. Interesting. I assume that means that she's been here, but she has not commented anything until now. So maybe Sunshine is aware of the lore here on the... Do you know who Trevor is, Sunshine? And do not tell me that you're Trevor, otherwise you might get banned. Do you know who Trevor is? Do you know what Love Ziggler is? Do you know what a triple single is? And these are not inappropriate terms. Trust me. These are all appropriate. I'm not. They sound weird. I understand that, but what else? Fucking. How many lore things can we do here? I mean, Trevor, Tyreek. Do you know who Tyreek is? Love Ziggler, Arthur. Do you know Arthur? Come on. Bon Quivy? I mean, these are all important people. Unless you can tell me who those people are, you may not be a true fan of the show. Richie said, you can never make me hate Punk, and especially AJ. I'm finally making my way through her book, and man, rough upbringing, very strong woman, and I'm happy for her success. Yeah, I love Punk. He will always be among my favorites. And AJ as well. I did read AJ's book as part of a free Audible thing like 10 years ago when the book came out. It is a great book. Great book. I actually reviewed the book here on the channel, I believe, about 10 years ago. So when you're done, Richie, if you want to check out the book review that I did, I believe, here on the channel 10 years ago, you can go back and check it out. I just finished Natty's book while I was driving to Boston recently, and that was also a really good book. Listening to AJ do the audiobook was really cool too, but physically reading it is better. I do enjoy that, but sometimes I don't have the time. Jeff and Punk could run it back one last time, Noel said. Yeah, if Jeff was in the company. Is that really like a pay-per-view match, by the way, in 2026? Probably not. Is it a huge mistake for both Tekla and MJF to be out of the championship matches at All In? Yes. MJF I get. Omega and Ospreay is a big match. Willow and Mercedes is also big, but we've also seen it before multiple times. They could easily do a triple threat with Tekla, and I think they're just going to choose not to. So yes, that to me is a bigger deal. Nathaniel said, do you want Orton to dethrone Punk at WrestleMania or the Rumble? No. Taking the belt off of one older part-time guy and putting on another older part-time guy is not really my idea of the best decision to make. I guess you could, but I mean, then again, I know Roman took the belt off of Punk, but Roman is younger. Like, Punk is fucking 47. Orton is closer to Punk's age than Reigns. It's not the same thing. Sunshine now talking about Ryan Garcia. I don't know if I could defend you on that. Okay, now she's talking about Ryan Garcia being through a lot, and he has every right to speak his piece. We have no idea what he left out of his outburst. I don't know. What I saw from Ryan Garcia, Miss Sunshine, was not good. Once you start getting racist and sexist and homophobic, then we kind of have a problem. We don't tolerate that here. We don't do that here. Nathaniel said, I grew up a fan of Edge and Christian and the Hardys, my favorite tag teams. Do you wish they would have faced each other in AEW? I do, but the timing didn't work out, unfortunately. Lyra Mania running wild. She needs to win the Women's World Championship. She should eventually. I don't know if she will, Fernando. Did you know Liv is probably the first person to pin all 4 horsewomen? Is she the first woman to pin all 4 horsewomen? I find that hard to believe. Asuka, more impressively, Asuka tapped out all 4 horsewomen before fucking Liv ever did. Did Asuka, she's beaten Bayley and all those other women. Has she only ever tapped them out? Has she not pinned all of those women? That's interesting. Nathaniel said, hey, Disney, trying to make a Home Alone reboot. How would you feel about that? I know I mentioned this on Twitter to you, Nathaniel, but now Sunshine talking about Vince. What are we talking about Vince for, my God? What are we talking about Vince for? Why are we bringing a fucking Vince McMahon? But thank you for stopping by, Sunshine. We appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, Home Alone reboot, they would have to do it right. I know they made a Home Alone sequel a few years ago, and it was garbage, so if they were to do another one, but make him the Kevin McAllister, like the adult, I just don't have faith Disney would do it properly, or they would really take the handcuffs off. Like, what's her name? Hilary Duff wanted to do Lizzie McGuire, the adult version, but they said no. So I feel like they wouldn't allow him to make the movie what he feels that it should be. I don't think they would see his vision through. So I think it would probably be fucking bad. Daniel asking, what do I think Maya World's ceiling is? It could be the women's world title. I mean, she's still new, so it's still early to say. I think she's great as a fit for the TBS title. Could she win the women's world title eventually? Hey, fucking why not? I don't see her in like, oh yeah, she looks like a mid-carder or she wrestles like a mid-carder. She seems very likable, good in the ring, young, I don't see why she can't be the world champion. Is she going to be like the next Sasha Banks, for example? I don't know. Or the next fucking, Toni Storm or whoever. I mean, I don't know about that. But from what I've seen of her so far, she's very good. Nathaniel said, imagine if CM Punk faced Edge at WrestleMania 27. That would have been great. That match was not going to happen at WrestleMania 27, Nathaniel. Edge retired after that. We got Edge and Del Rio and Punk and Orton. Edge and Punk would have been fine, but like they were both... I mean, Punk was a heel at that point. I guess that could have worked. I don't know how you would have gotten there, though, unless Punk won the Rumble. Fernando said, should El Idolo lose to MJF? Welcome to the WrestleRant family sunshine. Between MJF and El Idolo, I don't really mind. I think MJF should probably win. Because he lost to Omega. He lost to Darby. He lost in the cage match. He didn't get pinned in the cage match at Forbidden Door, but still he lost that. He lost to Brody King earlier this year. I don't know. I mean, honestly, you can have either one of them win, and it's fine. That's totally fine. I'm fine either way. Fernando, Veer is coming. Yes, you're right, Fernando. Daniel asking Sunshine what her thoughts are on the Bon Quivy, but she unfortunately did not respond to that. She just said, nice chat, maybe I'll drop by again and get to know y'all. Well, Sunshine, we appreciate that, but you also have to brush up on your lore with the WrestleRant lore as well. Fernando said, when do you think the New Day will debut in AEW if they choose to? As soon as they fucking can. If they don't debut as soon as they're available in early August, I think they could debut it All In. They either have a match at All In, or they debut it All In, or both. I would say have them face FTR, but FTR aren't around right now, unless they're coming back like this week. So, I don't know. They already confirmed they're doing Cope and Christian versus the Bucks. So I don't think the New Day get added to that. I think they really want to do Cope and Christian versus the Bucks, which is fine. But yeah, I think the New Day will... I could see them debuting after that match. The Bucks get the belt back and the New Day come down to confront them. I could totally see that. Yes, Eric, Asuka did beat Charlotte. I think you're just a big Liv Morgan fan and you're not admitting the fact that the 4 horsewomen have been beaten by other women. Asuka absolutely has beaten... And not only is beaten, but she fucking tapped out every 4 horsewomen there is. Fernando also said Bianca's the 4 horsewomen killer. She has not pinned Charlotte, I know that. She has faced Charlotte. She's won by DQ, I believe. She's never pinned Charlotte. She's pinned Becky, she's pinned Bayley, she's pinned Sasha. She's never pinned Charlotte, at least not yet. How old is Kevin from Home Alone in real life? Gotta be... late 40s now, right? I don't think he's 50. Let's see. What's his name? Oh, I'm going to write in... I don't remember the actor's name off the top of my head. Kevin McAllister. What is his name? Macaulay Culkin. How old is he? 45. All right, yeah, I said I said late 40s. That makes sense. Because I'm thinking he was a kid when Home Alone came out, and that was, I was born in 95, so I'm 31. He's definitely older than me. Anyway. He is in his 40s, Nathaniel, Daniel said. Fernando said, is it weird that Hangman's return on Collision was not mentioned at all on Dynamite? It's like it never happened. Yeah, very fucking weird. I don't know why they even did that. It was like advertised, but not on Dynamite, and then they did it on Collision, and then it was never mentioned again. He wasn't at the pay-per-view, I don't think. Very fucking weird. Why even do it? Emmanuel said, might have to leave soon, but you ever seen Big Show's 06 ECW TV matches? I've seen clips of some of them. I know he faced Big Show in the Hammerstein Ballroom, and they got booed out of the building. I have not watched those shows in full. I've wanted to go back and watch the ECW in full, but they took it off fucking Peacock. They took everything off of Peacock, so now I can't do that. Richie said, I too have been around a long time on the inside. For I know who Bon Quivy is. Indeed, Richie, you do. Who would Heyman choose between Fletcher and Okada? Good question. If Heyman had to manage one of them, he would probably choose Fletcher. I feel like he's more of a Fletcher guy. I feel like you would manage Fletcher. Okada's fine on his own. Yeah, I know. Sunshine never told you what the streets were saying about Punk, AJ, and Bayley. She conveniently left that out. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on Busted Open selling out to WWE Radio? Whatever you think my thoughts are, Fernando, are exactly what I think about it. It's fucking dumb. Listen, it's their way of making money, but at WWE, the writing has been on the wall here for a long time. They want to control the narrative, and not EC3 style. Like, they want to literally work and buy out certain media outlets so they can control what they put out about their product. Busted Open, I'm sure, didn't have a ton of AEW coverage, but they had a fucking AEW representative in Thunder Rosa, and now she's gone. Conveniently after this news dropped, and that's not a coincidence. I didn't listen to the show anyway. I don't give a fuck about Busted Open. I don't really care what Dave LaGreca's opinion on stuff is. That's fine. He doesn't even know who I am, and he doesn't care about my opinion either, so that's totally fine. The WWE radio thing, like, who is that even for? I mean, if they attract new fans through that, that's cool. I don't know, man. I hear a lot of their takes. Bubba Ray is insufferable on that show. I like Mark Henry. I like Tommy Dreamer. Bubba Ray, we have a very documented one-sided rivalry on my end of things. You know the lore there. You guys do. I don't give a fuck about his takes. He constantly sounds like a moron when he sends a lot of them. I don't even know if he believes half of the shit that he actually says or what comes out of his mouth. So we got to hear more of him and less about AEW and other promotions. I mean, come on, man. I do understand, like, people, I've gotten this before too, like, oh, you don't talk about AEW enough. Sometimes there's just not a lot to talk about with AEW. On WrestleRant Radio specifically, I do feel bad. We don't talk a lot about AEW, but we do predictions for all the pay-per-views. When big stuff happens, we talk about it. There's just not a lot of news there with AEW. For a lot of people, they don't cover AEW because it doesn't do them as much numbers, which I know that from writing about it and stuff like that. That also is true. AEW does not do the same numbers that WWE does in any metric. That being said, I still talk about AEW. I think it's important to cover them and all of their big news and stuff like that. And now they're just not going to cover that at all. I mean, I don't know what that tells you. I mean, completely ridiculous. I mean, you know what? I mean, come on, it's just fucking nonsense. And then you have Dave LaGreca going on record saying, nothing will change. Nothing will change. Yeah, we're going to let go of Thunder Rosa and not talk about any other company except WWE, but nothing will change. Okay, pal, whatever. It's funny. It's more funny to me than, like, frustrating because I didn't listen to it anyway, so I don't really care. But I just understand what WWE's doing, and it's funny to me. Nathaniel said, I'm excited for the Bucks and Cope and Christian. That's a dream tag team match. I think the New Day comes out afterwards and confronts the Bucks after they win. That's what I said. I think that makes the most sense. Because if they have a match on the show, who would they even face? I mean, FTR is not around right now. The Machine Guns, whose shirt I am currently wearing and hopefully will be on Dynamite tomorrow, they would have to debut this Wednesday. I mean, you're not going to do New Day and Motor City Machine Guns. They both are coming from WWE. At some point, yeah, not now. So I think the New Day debut it all in. I think that makes more sense. I would bring in the Motor City Machine Guns now, but save the New Day debut for All In. That's what I would do. How do I think 2026 will be viewed down the road as compared to 2018, 2019? Good question, Daniel. I still think 2018, 2019 will be worse. I know we have the glasses on right now, like that concert last night sucked. 2018, 2019 is literally almost unwatchable. I mean, 2026 is a lot of good shit. There's some shit that's not as good or as exciting. People are still down on the product. But if you prefer the last days of Vince over what we're getting now, I'm not going to call you an idiot, but, like, you're just being obtuse. I mean, give me a break. It's still not great television. What we're getting from week to week is not great. SmackDown's better now at 2 hours, but, you know, The 3-hour shows were fucking terrible. I mean, those shows were really bad. Way too long. But I will still take what we've gotten this year overall over 18 and 19. LOL EC3 mentioned, Richie said. Eric said, and I also got that EC1 and EC2 reference, Daniel. I got that reference as well. Teddy Hart should be Punk's last match. If you know, you know. I actually don't know. I actually don't know the history there. Emmanuel said, Ric Flair did an ECW Extreme Rules match with Big Show. Flair had an interesting run of hardcore matches in 06. I remember Big Show and Flair. I wasn't watching at the time, but I've heard about that match. I know Flair faced Foley in like an I Quit match at SummerSlam. He had that TLC match on Raw in early 06 for the WWE title, I think, with Edge. He was involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match that year, so he had a fucking ton of those sort of matches. You are correct. Eric said he wasn't watching back then. Fernando said, is TNA in worse shape now than when Jeff Jarrett and Dixie were fighting over it? It's a good question. Yeah, they would have to be. They'd have to be. I think TNA now is in a better spot creatively than they were at that point. But, like, I watched the first 2 episodes of Dark Side of the Ring on TNA. I haven't finished the conclusion of that story yet. But if you're talking like 2012, 2013, they were on a bigger network. They were getting better viewership. They had a much better roster. They could pay their talent more. They had way bigger names, way more exposure, more momentum. So yes, even if the backstage turmoil kind of killed the company there and put them in the spot they're in today, a hole they really took a long time to dig themselves out of, yes, TNA was in better shape then than it is now. Daniel said, who do you think from WWE, AEW wish they had debuted in 2019? What do you mean? In like what superstars today? I don't know if I have an answer for you. Like, oh, Joe Hendry wishes he was around in WWE in 2019. Honestly, maybe. I mean, Joe Hendry probably would have excelled in WWE in 2019, 2020. Under Vince, he probably would have been fine. Omos, I mean, he debuted in 2020. But if he came in another year earlier, Vince would have fucking loved him. I mean, he was already in developmental at that point, but Cody, I don't know if they would have gotten as right in 2019. I mean, the product was really bad at that point. So I don't know. That's a decent question, though. Nathaniel asked, do you think the Young Bucks are the greatest AEW tag team, or is it FTR? I prefer FTR. They will probably say the Bucks. I think FTR is a better team. I think FTR is the best team in AEW history. But if you say the Bucks, I get it. Fernando said, should WWE bring in Mandy Rose for a one-off intergender match between Theory and Maxine versus Otis and Mandy? The fans would pop hard for it. Would they, though? I mean, the diehards might. I think a lot of the casual fans, that was so long ago. I don't, for a one-off, I don't know if Mandy would even be interested in a fucking one-off. Nah, I'm good. I mean, I see what you mean. It would make sense, but would he get a big pop? I mean, people I think would pop. Would it really be worth it for a one-off match? Probably not. WWE doesn't really do that stuff often. Nathaniel said, I'm going to the Seattle Seahawks preseason game in Seattle on August 15th. Nice, Nathaniel. Enjoy. Daniel said, I mean, who do you think AEW wishes they had in 2019 when they first started but couldn't get since they were signed to WWE? Oh, okay. CM Punk. I mean, CM Punk wasn't signed to WWE in 2019. Tony Khan wanted Punk first. I mean, he wanted him from the day that fucking company was formed in 2018. He wanted Punk. I know that's not your question. Who do I think AEW would have wanted in 2019? I know they wanted Edge, and Edge ended up going back to WWE first before going to AEW. He wanted Edge. He wanted CM Punk. He got Moxley. Who else was there? Oh, AJ Styles. AJ Styles. That is the number one answer. They actually had tentative plans to have AJ debut on the first Dynamite with the Good Brothers. And they all ended up re-signing. And none of that ended up happening. And AJ's never been in AEW. The Good Brothers have since been there. AJ Styles will very likely never go to AEW. Maybe down the road for his one-off return match in AEW. That'd be cool, but probably not going to happen. But the answer is AJ Styles. Nathaniel talking about his new Knicks hat. Nice. Very nice, Nathaniel. Hope it's comfortable. All right, what we'll do now, if you haven't already, first of all, please like the video if you're here or watching after the fact. I would appreciate that. What we'll do now is go to these scheduled questions. We will answer those quickly, go back to the chat, and wrap up from there because they do got to get going soon. So, bam, those are the questions. I will discuss at the end how you guys can send in your questions if you would like. First question comes from Jordan B. from YouTube. He said, after Paige got done teaming with Brie Bella, after she's done teaming with Brie Bella, who would you like to see her first feud solo be with since returning to WWE? If she's assigned to Raw, I would like to see it be with Lyra. If she's assigned to SmackDown, I would like to see it be Blake Monroe. I think she had a match with Blake Monroe in AEW, actually. I think they had a match together a few years ago. Her first feud? If it's not like with the Bella twins, which I don't really care to see anyway. Rhea Ripley would be interesting, but I feel like that would have to be over a world title because Rhea's constantly in the world title mix. Bayley is another one, but Bayley's probably leaving, so I guess not. Bayley would have been cool. Who else? Lyra would be nice. I would like to see Paige and Lyra. So I'll say Lyra. I get that. If she's on SmackDown, Blake would be good. Like Paige and Julia does nothing for me currently. Paige and Jordan Grace. Paige and Charlotte we've seen before. Paige and Becky. They didn't have a full-on feud, so maybe Paige and Becky. That would be interesting. I don't really have a definitive name, but those are some of them. Second question, do you think Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, steel cage match at Payback 2023, is the best female steel cage match ever? I was trying to think of any women's steel cage match in TNA that might have come close to the level of Becky and Trish, but I couldn't think of anything. No, I think it might be. I think there was a cage match on Raw. I feel like Victoria and Lita had a cage match in like 2004 or something like that. I don't really remember that match personally. That might be better. I don't think it is. Becky and Trish is an excellent cage match. Male or female, doesn't matter. It's a great cage match. Better cage matches than that one? I mean, WWE and AEW have done women's cage matches before. We've gotten Blood and Guts. We've gotten women's Hell in the Cell matches. But straight up steel cage, it would be that one. I think Becky actually, funnily enough, had a cage match on SmackDown in 2016 with Alexa Bliss. I think Mickie James and her La Luchador gimmick got involved. This was way better than that. They don't actually shockingly do a lot of women's steel cage matches. It's usually reserved for the men for whatever reason. But yeah, I would have to look it up, but Becky and Trish probably very much is in the best cage match. You've said they've done some in TNA, like the Lethal Lockdown shit. Maybe. I can't think of a women's cage match in TNA that would be better than that one. They have done a lot of women's cage matches in TNA, but none better than probably Becky and Trish, at least in my memory. He also asks, since Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out July 31st, who would you say is the Spider-Man, the Punisher, and the Hulk of professional wrestling? Good question. Spider-Man, I would say Will Ospreay. He's a top name, exciting to watch, younger, or Javon Evans. Either Javon Evans or Will Ospreay. The Punisher, I was thinking like Orton, Drew, someone more menacing. I'm thinking like who would do it for their family. The Punisher's all about his family, I had a couple names in mind. And I was thinking like Drew or Orton. Maybe Punk. I feel like Punk would be a good Punisher. And then the Hulk of wrestling would have to either be Brock or Oba, just fucking smashing people. Either Oba or Brock for sure. Nike Fan 02 from YouTube, if Seth Rollins never got hurt and the Vision stayed the course and stayed dominant and healthy, how do you think the group would have ended up and been remembered? I don't think it would be remembered that great, because even before Rollins got hurt, people were already shitting on the Vision. I liked the group. I do think their booking was kind of mundane towards the end there, and I think they were just barely starting to find their footing before Rollins got hurt. I think people would still have found the group boring. Even had Rollins not gotten hurt, it was always going to lead to Breakker breaking off from Rollins, maybe right after WrestleMania. But yeah, I don't think it would have drastically changed. I think Breakker, had the Vision stayed the course with Rollins at the helm, I think Breakker would be in a better role right now than he is currently, for sure. I don't think he turns on Rollins at a later date and then ends up in the fucking tag division with Austin Theory. I don't think that happens. I do think things would have changed pretty significantly. But he was always going to turn on Rollins regardless, was Braun Breakker. He said if CM Punk was forced to end his career at next year's WrestleMania, who would you book as his final opponent and what would be the story? So it's a little bit different than my headline question for today's video. That was who would be CM Punk's final opponent in WWE. My answer, I looked at the WWE roster, and I'm going to be honest with you, no one stands out as being like a sexy final opponent for CM Punk. I know we joked Gunther earlier. I would not do that. That's probably, if he were to retire next year, which I don't think he is, if he were to retire next year, it probably would be Gunther, and I don't like that. I just feel like that's lazy. We've seen it. No thanks. Even though their first match a year ago was great, Gunther does not need to retire like another 4 people. He's already done it 3 times. Realistically, it would be Gunther. I don't need to see it be Orton or someone like that. if it's a fresh feud from someone on the current roster, like Punk and Oba doesn't do anything for me. Punk and Trick. Him and Ethan Page would be nice. It's not a Mania match, though, I don't think, unless they really build up Ethan Page before then. What I would do if they're doing him and Cody now, Cody, I guess, would not be his final opponent. I would say Kevin Owens. You can go off their bad blood from years ago. I just think letting them go in there and rip it up in the ring, and specifically on the mic, would be awesome. I feel like those two would have a lot of great chemistry. So I would say Kevin Owens if he was back by then. Owens doesn't really benefit from retiring Punk, assuming Owens were to win, because Owens is also on the older side. But I would say Kevin Owens. All right. And honestly, ideally, though, if it were anyone, and I don't think they'd be in WWE by next year's WrestleMania. I don't know what their contract status is. Ideally, who I think Punk's final opponent should be, MJF. Now, I know he's already a made man, but if he were to come to WWE by next year's WrestleMania, Punk losing to him would immediately establish MJF as a top name. And MJF can finally avenge that loss to Punk from Revolution in 2022. He had already beaten Punk on Dynamite, but he was eventually supposed to beat Punk to take back the AEW World Championship in 2022, and it didn't happen. They were going to do that in 2023, and it didn't happen. I think you finally finish that story in WWE, that would be great. Will that happen? No. If this was next year's WrestleMania, then no. Do I think Punk could retire at a point when MJF is finally in WWE? That I do think is possible, although I'm not banking on it. His third question: do you think WWE should let Nick Aldis be in the ring as a full-time wrestler? They can give the GM role of SmackDown AJ Styles. After all, it's his house anyway. I don't know if AJ would be a great GM. He was never an amazing talker. I would love to see Nick Aldis continue wrestling consistently after SummerSlam. We talked about this earlier. I don't see that happening. I don't. I think he will very likely go back to being the GM after he loses to Gunther, which is fine. I think SummerSlam is a test, though. I think if he really kills it and people respond well to it and they care and he does well, which I think he should do fine, then they'll give him more matches. If he doesn't and it's kind of like an match and people don't really care or aren't clamoring for it, then they'll put him back as the GM. I legit think that might be a factor here. But even if they were to give AJ Styles the GM role, I don't know why would AJ retire and then just go to be a fucking GM? Willingly retire, and then he's not on the road every week now. He wants to be home. He would have to be on the road every week if he was the GM. I don't think that's a good role for AJ Styles. Honestly, I know he's older, but William Regal, he is there every week anyway, behind the scenes with Triple H and whatnot, I believe. I don't think that's changed. I would give the GM role of SmackDown to William Regal. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. Last couple of questions here. Give me a second to adjust my camera. Hold on. Let me adjust my camera so you guys can see the final few questions. There we go. Perfect. Noel, what would be your top 5 SummerSlam moments of all time? I don't know if I have a top 5 favorite, not even favorite, but top 5 SummerSlam moments. You have the first main event, which was a big deal. I think Ultimate Warrior winning the IC Championship from Honky Tonk Man. I just thought of that now. I think that's at the first SummerSlam. I would put that in the top 5 biggest SummerSlam moments ever. Warrior winning the IC title in record time, ending Honky Tonk Man's record-setting reign. That was a massive moment. From the years that followed, Bulldog and Hart, was that a big moment? That was a big, great match. Arguably the best SummerSlam main event ever. But was it a big moment? I don't know. Bulldog winning the championship in the main event of Wembley Stadium was a big deal. I might put that in the top 5. Nothing from 93, 4, 5, 6. Nothing really from 97. 98 had Rock and Triple H in the Awesome Ladder match. Again, is that a moment? More of a match? I don't know. You also had Highway to Hell in the main event between Austin and Taker. 99, nothing. 2000, you have TLC 2. Or TLC 1, rather. Again, is it a moment? I don't know, but you'd have to put that in there. Nothing from 01. 02 had Triple H and Shawn's return to the ring. That was a massive moment. Brock winning his first ever WWE title. I would probably put that up there as well. Both are monumental moments and both are great matches. Nothing from 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08. I love Edge and Taker in 08. The Hell in the Cell match is great. I don't know if it's a moment, really, but it's a great match. 09, 2010, 2011. Had the Del Rio cash in, and I love the main event. I love the Orton and Christian match as well. 2013, I think it's a top 5 SummerSlam moment with Orton cashing in Money in the Bank, turning heel, aligning with Triple H, who also turned heel that night. That to me is screwing over Daniel Bryan. That to me is also a top 5 SummerSlam moment. Brock squashing Cena, I think would be, I don't know if you can constitute that as a moment. I think that would be top 5. 2015, no. 16, no. 17, no. 18, 19. 2021, Brock returning after Roman, that was shocking. That was shocking. Brock coming back. Last year I would not put on that list, but Brock coming back in 2021, I might put that in the list. That was an incredible moment. When Brock came back and confronted Roman, his first time back in a year and a half. That was great. And then there's been some other stuff since then that's been really good. Roman returning in 2025 was cool. Not a top 5 moment, but that was cool. Or 2024, rather. Rollins, Ruse of the Century, that might be a top 5 SummerSlam moment. That was an amazing moment. And then also Cena and Cody last year was great. So those are a handful. I don't know if I can limit it to just 5, but it also kind of depends what you constitute as a moment and what you constitute as a match. Their second question, now that Dark Side of the Ring did an episode on TNA, do you think that Dixie Carter or Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan were more to blame in their new downfall and or near downfall, rather, in the early 2010s, and Eric's excuse for Jeff Hardy's Victory Road incident, well, he'll probably just walk it off. Terrible excuse to everyone involved at the time. Your question was weirdly worded, rather, is what I meant to say. It was a weirdly worded question. But I haven't gotten to that part of the Dark Side of the Ring doc yet where they talked about the Victory Road stuff. Who do I think is more to blame? I mean, Dixie is the ultimate to blame. You can blame Bischoff and Hogan, but Dixie was the one that brought them fucking in, dude. Dixie mismanaged that company to a pretty wide margin in the early 2010s. So the ultimate person to blame was Dixie. Hogan, if they were actually more stern with him, like, hey, you got to promote the product, you got to actually help us out here, he would have actually been useful for them. But they didn't fucking do that because they just let him do whatever he wanted. Bischoff, I think, is the least to blame. Dixie is absolutely the biggest to blame. And the Jeff Hardy incident is still, ridiculous even to this day. At Ewagoo91 from Twitter, 3 questions here, the final 3 of the episode. For scheduled questions, anyway. We'll go back to the chat in a moment, but he said, your thoughts on round 3 between Mike Bailey and Kyle Fletcher, set to occur at Arena Mexico 1 week from tomorrow. I think that's cool. I know Mike Bailey became number 1 contender to the International Championship of Redemption. That was a nice moment in his hometown, or home state of Canada, rather. I think that might be more Bailey. We always thought Bailey would take the TNT title from Fletcher. He might take the International Championship from him as well. I don't think he will, though, because it looks like they're setting up Fletcher, and they're also not in Bailey's hometown for that match, so really Fletcher can win and it's fine. But it seems like they're setting up Fletcher, Okada, and Takeshita, who all have held that International Championship. That should be the International title match at All In. Unless Bailey's going to lose, or he's going to win, and then he defends against someone, and that triple threat happens anyway, I think Fletcher retains at Arena Mexico. And then loses probably in that triple threat, most likely. At Iwagu said, after Redemption, should that be the last Bandito constantly loses? The last time Bandito constantly loses in a great singles match. It should be. I don't know if it will be, though. He is always getting these opportunities and always fucking losing. He's had at least 4 or 5 pay-per-view matches this year with MJF, which was on TV. But like Andrade, Swerve, Fletcher, Moxley, and maybe someone else too. Whoever he faced at Revolution. Was that Andrade? I think that was Andrade he faced at Revolution. At Dynasty, I forgot who he faced at Dynasty. He definitely faced Swerve at Forbidden Door and lost. I don't know if he was at Dynasty, but he lost all these other matches. He's got to fucking win. He keeps losing. I can't take the guy seriously if he constantly loses whenever it matters most. Yet he's still the Ring of Honor World Champion. The fuck are we doing? And then last thing here, your thoughts on Willow Nightingale becoming AEW Women's World Champion. I talked about this before, but, I'm happy for Willow. Great win for her. She deserves to be champion. The timing sucks. Because either Mercedes is losing again at All In, or her third opportunity at the world title, or Willow loses a month after losing it, and they already told that story with Willow and Mercedes over the TBS title. So it's a lose-lose, really, and it leaves Tekla out of the equation, which I think is fucking stupid. Unless it's a 3-way, which it might still be. I don't think it is. I think they want to do Willow and Mercedes at All In. Tekla's on the outside looking in. Maybe she'll end up in a fucking women's gauntlet. I don't know. I still think that's stupid, though. And not stupid that Willow won the belt, but the booking of this is just weird. They should not have taken the belt off of Tekla before All In, but they did. And I think that's a mistake, but at least I love Willow, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, let's switch back to the chat here, see what you guys are saying before we head on out. Hold on. All right, let me backtrack a little bit here. How did you feel about Priest's comments to Cody on Friday? I liked it where he's like, oh, you're constantly in the main event. Like, obviously, as a character, he's saying that out of jealousy. And then Cody used that in his promo with Punk later on. I liked it. I was fine with that. Would I want to see Paige and Tiffany Stratton? I'm not clamoring for it. I don't really care to see that match, but it would be fine, I'm sure. Do I think Enzo comes with Big Cass? I don't. At this point, I don't think he is. Why are they building a Big Cass on his own without even mentioning Enzo? It's like, oh, we want the pop for Enzo because he's going to be a surprise. Well, we already know Enzo's coming in too. So either keep them both the surprise, or I don't know. I don't think Enzo. I don't know. I really don't know what to think at this point. It's very strange. I don't know what they're doing there. What is your favorite all-time Cena shirt? Least favorite? Good question, Daniel. Favorite, the game one that he had in like '08. It was like a Game Boy kind of shirt. The Game Over shirt. Always liked that one. The Rise Above Hate one I enjoyed. I thought that was cool. Anything black, really. He had a black one in 2022, I think, that I also liked. That was good. Yeah, any of those. Least favorite, like the purple one was atrocious. What else? He had like the Champ is Here shirt with the arrow pointing down. That was kind of fucking weird. That's a stupid shirt. Who the fuck would wear that? What else? I mean, he's had some pretty bad shirts. Those are definitely the most egregious ones that I can remember. The purple shirt was just ridiculous. The orange one didn't help. He had a lot of bad shirts. Richie said, I got tickets for Spider-Man this Thursday. No spoilers for me. Awesome, Richie. That's fantastic. I said this earlier, maybe before you came in, but I am also hopefully seeing it Thursday. So, because the thing was for me, I would be flying out to SummerSlam on Thursday. Wouldn't be able to see it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But I'm actually flying out Friday night now. So I should be able to see it on Thursday before I leave, which is amazing. Daniel said, what do you think hurt Batista more in becoming the guy over Cena? His age or the injuries? His age. His age. I mean, Batista was not hurt at all when they put Cena on Raw and put Batista on SmackDown. He got hurt years later in like 06. 05, Batista wasn't really getting hurt at all. He was just older. They knew Cena was like the face of the company, not Batista. And Batista didn't want to be around for that long anyway, so it kind of worked out. If Shawn Michaels is Mr. Mania, who's Mr. SummerSlam? We've talked about this a lot, but I think it's got to be Brock. I mean, Brock has had so many great matches at SummerSlam, great moments. I think it's got to be Brock. Brett's also up there, and Rollins, but I would say Brock. Daniel said, who do you think would have been more successful if they had a longer leash in terms of misconduct like Randy Orton did? That's funny. Matt Riddle would probably still be around if they had a longer leash for him. Who else? Who else was like their own worst enemy? Definitely Matt Riddle, I think, would still be around. They actually probably kept him around longer than they should have, given his own personal demons. Matt Riddle, trying to think of who else. Kurt Angle. I mean, if they gave him a longer leash and weren't like, you got to go to rehab and shit, he would have probably not left WWE in 06. He probably would not have gone to TNA. I mean, you have Umaga and Carlito, people like that, but, you know, I'm talking about bigger names here. Angle, I mean, he wouldn't have not been more successful. Riddle, I think, is the ultimate answer I can think of. Fernando said the people who constantly complain about comic books movies are not comic accurate enough are annoying as hell, right? I don't really care. I don't really listen to those people. Someone saying, oh, it's not comic accurate enough. Like, I don't read the comics, so I don't give a shit about the comics, so I don't really listen to those people. Unless it's so drastically different from the comics, I don't really care. What are your thoughts on the new Black Panther casting announcement and Ryan Gosling announcement that he's the new Ghost Rider? Yeah, I really haven't had a chance to talk about this, but I thought it was awesome. The guy playing Black Panther's son, T'Challa Jr., is great. I saw him in Alien Romulus. He's great. I think he's a great fit for that role. And Gosling as Ghost Rider, I'm actually very happy with that move. I think Gosling's a great actor, and yeah, I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to both movies. I was very excited with both of those announcements this past weekend. I thought they lived up to the hype with that one. Daniel, do you think that shoulder injury Sammy got when he faced Cena during his entrance derailed him long-term at all? Nah, I think he probably would have ended up in the same spot as the mid-carder. It's not like he was going to win the match, you know? I don't really think it ended up making much of a difference. I think it really just delayed the inevitable, with him ending up on the main roster as a mid-card guy. Daniel said, do you think there was ever any heat on Nathan Frazier over the Elton Prince injury? Interesting question. I don't think so. I think they just gave up on Fraxium. I don't think it had anything to do with Elton Prince getting hurt. I mean, Elton Prince also isn't like a big star, so it's not like he sidelined fucking Randy Orton. You know what I mean? It was Elton Prince, so I don't think so. Knowing this company, maybe, but I don't think so. I know you're not a comic book guy, but Comic-Con is for movie lovers as well. Have you ever been to one? Yeah, bro, I've been to New York Comic-Con a ton. I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con, but I've been to New York Comic-Con 4 times. I went in 2021, 22, 23, 24. So yeah, I've been 4 times. I've been to Rhode Island Comic-Con maybe like 6 times, 2017, 2018, 2021, 22, 23, 24. I've been to New Rhode Island Comic-Con 6 times. I've been to Boston Comic-Con. I went in 2018, 2023, definitely in 24, definitely 25. I've been 3 or 4 times to Boston Comic-Con. So yeah, I've been to a bunch of Comic-Cons. New York Comic-Con was always the one I wanted to go to. That was always like the biggest deal. And that's like the coolest one out of all of them, in my opinion. How would you fix Star Wars? We don't have enough time to even talk about it. I mean, I like Star Wars a lot. I enjoy it as a casual fan, but there's a lot. They need to kind of start over. Let's put it that way. Don't do 10, 9, and 12. I mean, or 10, 11, and 12. I mean, you really got to figure out, all right, what do people want? What are they paying attention to? What's resonating with people? It's just kind of all over the place. I think Star Wars is in a solid spot now, better than it was during the sequel trilogy era. But people have just kind of fallen off from Star Wars. It's weird. There's just not any real projects to get excited about right now. They need stuff for people to get excited about, like true quality content. Although I really did like the Mall show, but not enough people are watching that sort of stuff. Do you think Tom Holland will do 5 more Spider-Man movies? I've seen that rumor. I would find that very hard to believe. Does that include Avengers and shit? I mean, that's so many fucking... How old is he going to be playing Spider-Man? Fernando said, do we know if Enzo is truly signed? Definitively, no, we don't. The rumor was that he would be. I don't think he probably is, but we don't know that he officially is. Let's put it that way. But he was seen at the PC, and it was said that they were signing him, but maybe they gave up. They're like, hey, we know Enzo. We saw him at the PC working out, training, and we're like, yeah, this guy sucks, actually. Let's bring in Cass on his own. Daniel said, I feel like whenever Seth screams at Roman how he's spoon-fed and Seth gets it out of the mud, ring hollow. If Roman started on third base, Seth was on second. Are you talking about the screaming from last night? I don't know if I understand the reference, Daniel. Has Cena ever worn pants during his matches? Pants? On the main roster, no. I mean, unless it was a street fight, but he's always wore jorts or trunks. Never pants, to my knowledge. Do you think Tom Holland acts like Michael J. Fox sometimes? I can see it. Do I ever think, man, he's Michael J. Fox? I don't know. I don't see him as Michael J. Fox. They're 2 totally different actors. Could I see it though? Yes, I could see the similarities for sure. Do you think Batista will ever appear in the MCU with Guardians of the Galaxy? No. I think he's done. And I think he should be done. I think they wrote off his character perfectly in Guardians 3. Fernando asking about worst plane ride. I can't pinpoint exactly what it was, but I've been on plane rides where there was a lot of turbulence and it was fucking scary. I don't know when it would have been, but that's happened a few times. What do you think the Attitude Era in 2000 looks like, Daniel asked, if Austin never had to get surgery? I don't think it looks much different. I mean, I don't think Triple H would have dominated the year as much as he did, but I don't really think it looks that much different with Stone Cold around. Would it have been worse? I mean, 2000 was an amazing year for WWE. They were really firing on all cylinders creatively that year. I think he only would have added to it as far as making it better than it already was. Eric said, do you think Riddle could have been a main eventer had he not been for his drug issues? Yes. I think Riddle was great, but he was his own worst enemy. Fernando said, better brother versus brother feud. Owen versus Brett. Jeff versus Matt. Jay versus Jimmy. Come on. and Rick Steiner versus Scott. Do not even put Jay and Jimmy in that fucking conversation. The answer is obviously Brett and Owen. Matt and Jeff was fine. Jay and Jimmy, the feud is okay. The match was terrible. And Rick and Scott, I just have no knowledge of. But definitely Owen and Brett. One of the best SummerSlam matches of all time inside of a steel cage for the WWE title, 94. Nathaniel wants the Yankees to win the World Series this year. Fernando said, who's comparable to Hulk, Brock, Lesnar, Goldberg, Obafemi, or Batista? Who's comparable to the whole character? Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, Obafemi, or Batista? I say Brock. Or Oba. But Brock just gives massive Hulk vibes to me, so I would say Brock. And which wrestler is Thanos? Peak Bloodline Roman Reigns is Thanos. Collecting championships, complete domination of WWE, everything revolves around him. Roman Reigns gives me massive Thanos energy. Richie says The Rock can save Star Wars. We decided to pivot and have Palpatine return again. Somehow he returned. MJF is Tony Stark, right? Michael J. Fox is Tony Stark? Or MJF the wrestler? Which one are you talking about? Because I know you mentioned Michael J. Fox before. Tom Holland is 30 years old, I think. Yeah, but he can't be doing this Spider-Man shit for the next fucking 10, 15 years. My God. Fernando said he wore pants in OVW. I did not know that. I thought he just wore basic trunks. Interesting. How would you feel if MJ dies in Brand New Day? That would be crazy. I would be very surprised. I mean, they already killed off Aunt May, so I don't think they're going to do that. I would be surprised if they were to do that. Daniel said, like when Seth talks about Roman, pretty much the golden child, how people like Seth had to work for what he's gotten in WWE. My point is Seth has had it made and been given plenty of opportunities as well. Yeah, that doesn't really hit home. I understand what you're saying. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, when they say that sort of shit, I mean, come on. When Seth says, oh, you've been given so many opportunities. Yeah, so have you. What are you talking about? It's silly. But I think the overall exchanges between the two have been good. Fernando, which wrestler from this era would be great for the Attitude Era and vice versa? Punk would have been good in the Attitude Era. MJF, I mean, I know he's smaller, but his trash talk in the Attitude Era would have been great. Who from the Attitude Era would have been good now? I think Austin would always be over regardless. He would really inject some life into this fucking product. The Rock would be way over today. He would take some bad material and turn it into something great. Owen Hart, if he was still around. Jericho, that version of Jericho. Benoit, if what happened didn't happen, that version of Benoit would have been really good, I think. Yeah, really most people from the Attitude Era. I think finding people from today that would work back then, it's a more drastic difference. Do I think Solo is going to turn on LA Knight at SummerSlam? I'm going to say no, but I'm still very worried that he will. Trust me, I realize it's a possibility, but I'll say it won't happen, though. Fernando said MJF, the wrestler, is Tony Stark. I don't see that. MJF is such an asshole. I could see the similarities there. I actually see CM Punk more as Iron Man than I do MJF, where they're both kind of their own worst enemy. I don't see MJF as a Tony Stark. I don't. He'd be more of a villain, like a fucking low-key when he was a villain, or... I don't know. I would have to think about it with MJF. Will Xavier die for the 10th time in Avengers Doomsday? Yes. He is definitely fucking dying, definitely. I would be shocked if he didn't. Glad I never sold my Solo stock. Dude is money. I don't know if he's money necessarily, but Solo as a babyface is very entertaining. He is. I'm glad they're finally showcasing him in that light. I hope they don't turn him. That would be a mistake, Daniel. I agree. That would be fucking stupid. If they turn him back heel at SummerSlam after the success he's had as a babyface in recent weeks, this would be the dumbest company ever. Not that I wouldn't put it past them, but it would still be very stupid for them to do that. Anyway, so we're going to get out of here. I got to get going, but we will run down the... also, Daniel said, what do you think is Tough Enough's legacy? Tough Enough's legacy. I mean, it was a failed product. I mean, it was supposed to create new stars. The only star that it created really was The Miz. I know John Morrison was also on it, but like... What other stars did Tough Enough really create? None. Who else was on Tough Enough? Patrick Clark, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville. That was 2015, but still, they all got fired. It's really just a failed concept. It was WWE trying their hand at reality TV. It was a great show, but it didn't fulfill its purpose in terms of creating new stars. And Fernando said, more iconic movies, Superman, and Lois, Rocky and Adrian, or Han and Leia? Han and Leia. Rocky and Adrian is 3, Superman and Lois is 2, Han and Leia is easily number 1. And I might be biased because I am a Star Wars fan, but still. Daniel said Chelsea Green. Oh, yeah, she was on the 2015 Tough Enough. But she also got fired, she got fired and had to be brought back still. I mean, I don't think anyone looks at Chelsea Green as like, oh, she's a Tough Enough success story. I mean, she wasn't even hired after that show wrapped up. She didn't get brought in until 2019. She was on the show, but they didn't hire her out of it. So I still think people will look at that show as a failure, but people will always look back. It was a great show. It was very entertaining. It just didn't really fulfill its purpose of creating stars the same way that NXT has, for example. But want to shout out the channel members. Alexis, Miss Mon Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel, Malcolm, at Quarter on X, DJ Swerve1, at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau, at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube, Richie, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube, Average Grunt, at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky, and our newest channel member, Bill Meister. Thank you to Bill for becoming a channel member today, as well as Richie. Appreciate both of you guys. Much love. Thank you to both of them for becoming channel members today. Like I said, if you want to become a channel member, access includes, or becoming a All Access Pass channel member includes a little badge next to your name here in the chat. You get first dibs on comments and questions for hashtag AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio. If there's something you want me to answer or, talk about first in either of those shows, you get first dibs. You get priority treatment. You also get little gifts in the chat. You get early access and ad-free access to certain videos here on the channel before they become public for everyone else. And you just help support the channel. So more information on that down below if you want to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member. If you want to just like this video, though, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you'll be notified every time we're live, specifically on Tuesdays and Thursdays for hashtag AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio specifically. Not sure what time on Thursday. It will very likely be early, though, either 8 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, or between 9 and 9:30. It will probably we will very likely be live on Thursday between 8 and 10 a.m. Eastern. So keep an ear out for that. Keep an eye out for that and join us then. If you want to send in a question to this very show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below on the comment section on this very video after it's done processing, and I'll include your question in next week's edition. Or just join us live. Include your question or comment in the chat. I will read it off here on the show. And that's about it. Nathaniel also said, who would win between Spider-Man and Superman? Probably Superman, because he's practically fucking invincible. But I think Spider-Man would stand a good chance, for sure. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday, pre-Spider-Man Brand New Day, pre-SummerSlam. I'm actually more excited for Spider-Man than I am fucking SummerSlam. And I'll be at SummerSlam, too. But like I said, I'll be flying out Friday, back Monday. I don't think the streams will be interrupted. We'll be live on Thursday, per usual, with Mr. Marceau, doing SummerSlam predictions, talking about everything else in the world of wrestling, maybe some redemption thoughts as well, maybe that awful Raw from last night, and keep it short and sweet, hopefully. And we'll be back following Tuesday for the next episode of hashtag AskGSM. So thank you, Richie, with the salute in the chat, WChat, WStream. Thank you, Richie. Thank you, Richie, again, for becoming a channel member, as well as Bill Meister. And happy belated birthday to Richie as well. And anyone else here on the stream that might be celebrating a birthday, either recently or coming up pretty soon. So, at any rate, guys, have an awesome one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Enjoy the rest of SummerSlam week, and I'll catch your ass down the road.